Today, as this session opens, we pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for direction which will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which would be for the good of our city. We also pray for your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city and make it a better place to live and work. Amen. Please remain standing for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would the clerk please call the roll?
Counsel Belanger.
Here.
Counsel Elliott.
Here.
Mayor Kennedy.
Here.
Counsel Leahy.
Here.
Counsel Leary.
Here.
Counsel Mercier.
Here.
Counsel Milanazzo.
Here.
Counsel Rourke.
Here.
Counsel Samaras.
Here.
That's 9 present.
Counsel Mercier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to offer a moment of silence in darkened chamber for one of Lowell's finest, Martin J. Mickey Finn. Loving husband, father, grandfather, great-grandfather, brother, coach, resident of this Christian Hill neighborhood. Mickey was the husband of the late Ann Brennan Finn, whom he was married to for 53 years. Mickey attended St. Patrick's Elementary School and was a graduate of Lowell High School, class of 1946. Mickey proudly served in the United States Navy following the conclusion of World War II. He was a communicant of St. Michael's Church, a member of the Holy Name Society, St. Vincent de Paul, and a lifelong member of the East End Club. He was employed for 47 years at the Courier Citizen Corporation in Lowell, where he retired from. He spent 50 years coaching Centerville Little League, where he was honored with the naming of Mickey Finn Baseball Field. He was awarded the Fred Ebbett Award by the Massachusetts Baseball League for his years of dedication to coaching. I believe it was over 50 years. He was without a doubt a remarkable human being, a friend to everyone. Mickey is survived by his 9 sons, Bob, Larry, Jack, Billy, James, Timothy, Mark, Daniel, and Eric. 3 daughters, Mary Jo, Cookie, Martha, and Colleen Finn, 20 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren. We offer our sympathy to his family, relatives, and many, many friends. He will be truly missed. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Elliott.
I just want to say a couple of words. Council Mercier really said most of it, but I agree Lowell lost one of its finest citizens in Mickey Finn. Everything about Mickey Finn is what I tried to teach my kids. He was honest, he was humble. He was genuinely a wonderful human being, one who will never be forgotten, and I'm certain we're all going to miss him. It didn't matter how long you knew Mickey Finn. If he liked you, he knew you were sincere, you were a friend for life. He was a dear friend to me and so many others. Whether you saw him every day, once a month, once a year, always greeted you with a smile. He gave his heart and his soul to this city, his community, and his family. And as Council Mercy mentioned, we honored Mickey Finn in the most fitting way for a game that he loved, to name a field after him. And we did this so generations to come will never forget what Mickey did and gave to this city. I feel we're so much better off as a city because of Mickey Finn and his wife Ann and his family. Godspeed, Mickey Finn. We're all going to miss your smile and your friendship. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Under the city clerk, we have the minutes of the ad hoc charter review voting district representation subcommittee of August 22nd, the city council meeting of August 22nd, and the city council special meeting of August 31st for acceptance. We have a motion to accept and place on file by Council Mercia, second by Council Milonazo. Discussion, all in favor, all opposed, so voted. Being before 7 o'clock, we'll skip ahead of the public hearings and go to communications by the city manager. We have communications A through I this evening. So communication A is the Zoning Board of Appeals procedure for administrative review. Any discussion on that item? If not, we'll move on to item B, which is the fire damage property ordinance. Any discussion? Council Leahy.
Thank you. Through you to the manager. So I'm just trying to get this up on my iPad. But so we're in the process now of drawing that up, and
If you're satisfied with this response, we'll drop up the proposed ordinance to bring before the council.
okay. And have we? Do they speak to the insurance companies and all that stuff?
Yeah,
and
we've
make
done.
them aware, because I think this is something that can happen, right? Talk to a few people, and they say there's really no reason why there should be a huge delay. So once we draft our ordinance, we should be able to expedite this.
Yes, we will, and
Yeah.
the real problem has been the insurance. I've seen it before.
Yeah.
And I've experienced it, and that's the major drawback. Apparently, there's a house on Andover Street that's going through that because the lack of the insurance company settling the claim in a timely manner. So it is an issue, but we'll be working hard. But I think this ordinance will go a long way in helping that out.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion on item B? Council Milonazo.
Thank you, Mayor. Based upon what I see here in Council Leahy's questions, I would move that this be referred to the Law Department to be drawn up in proper form.
Okay. So we have a motion by Council Milonazo to refer item B to the Law Department to be brought up in proper form, seconded by Council Mercia. Discussion on the motion. All in favor, all opposed, so voted. Next, moving on to item C, the low-riding car enforcement. Any discussion? Council Leary.
Quickly, thank you for the response to the motion. I just think this is something that we need to be vigilant on, and I thank you for taking the initiative and having the chief respond to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Leahy.
Thank you. Just quickly, so people know, this has been an ongoing issue that has been brought up at many neighborhood meetings. So there were four questions here that citations have been issued just from September 16th to the present. Altered height, 37 citations. Harsh objectionable muffler noise, 74 citations. Tires extended outside the fenders, 43 citations. And excessive window tint, 228 citations. So we have been doing a lot of work on this issue. Sometimes people get a little bit frustrated with this, but from the report, we can see that things are happening. And also, I was made aware that a lot of the inspection stations today are required to use cameras. So when you go into a inspection station, many of these alterations are happening after the inspections are performed on the cars. So it's just a difficult task for any community to enforce all this. You can't really go to the inspection stations and just trying to keep track of the cars, and with all the other issues that are going on in your city and town, this is just one more thing that the police deal with, and they're doing a good job. So I appreciate the report from the superintendent. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion on this item? If not, we'll move on to item D, which is Lowell Police Department Detention Center conditions. Any discussion, Council Mercia?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That was my motion, and I want to thank the Chief Taylor for bringing forth the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on item D, Council Leahy?
Thank you. Just quickly, the other thing I wanted to mention with this is we've had other motions in about fixing up the locker rooms and other various issues with the police department, the doors. So I think this year, with the money we put in the capital budget, things are gonna start happening over there, as far as doors, redoing the locker rooms, things like that. So this isn't an issue that's gone by. We are working on it with the manager's office and with the police department to get that building in shape for the men and women that work there. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this item? If not, we'll move on to item E, the construction site signage. Any discussion? Council Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I actually think the report is a good one, Mr. Manager. I think it's actually help with a lot of the blighted properties in the city that are non-owner occupied. We've had, just over the past few months, we've had a number of properties that have required inspections and police to go by multiple times. So I think putting a name and a phone number on a property is good. The only question I did have, if you, townhouses, if they are rented, if there are 4 or 5 townhouses that would be in a row, and those are owned by somebody, it says all exits and entrances. So if you had a townhouses with 5 or 6 in a row, the same sign over each, entrance or exit.
Sure. So when we're discussing the specifics about the type of use, it depends on how the property is located. Sometimes townhouses are actually separate parcels, so it depends on whether or not it's a separate unit and a separate parcel. But if it was on one lot, it would be on each of the entrances and exits of each of the property. Although, if only one of them is vacant, we would likely only require it over that one to meet the spirit of the ordinance.
Sure. All right, thank you. Mr. Manager, just go to public hearing first, or just?
Sorry,
Sure.
it'd be the same motion that Councilor Milonazo just had.
Make a motion to that, please.
All right, we have a motion by Council Rourke to refer this matter to the Law Department to be drawn up for proper ordinance, second by Councilor Milonazo. Discussion on the motion. All in favor, all opposed, so voted. Moving on to the Jarvis Property Rail Trail update. Councilor Samaras.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank the city manager for this report. This report actually is something which we like to see, business and the city working together. As you know, this council allowed Jarvis Auto to expand with the hope and expectation that they would support the extension of the Bruce Freeman Trail. And it looks like they've done just that. They are a stand-up company, and this is obvious. Mr. Manager, could you just give a little bit of the outline of what's happening here with this? Because there are people here who are very interested in the Bruce Freeman Trail.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I had a meeting today with Peter Jarvis and his attorney relative to this. Is basically what we're going to do is the parcel of land that they acquired, they're going to grant an easement over that parcel so that the bike trail that comes from Cross Point Towers will go right across and connect to where it is right now. In return, we're going to be giving them some tax relief relative to the property values because it's going to be used as a bike trail and limited in the use that Jarvis is going to have for the rest of the property. There are some issues the attorney had, obviously, about liability for Jarvis as to bikers getting injured while they're going across their property. But these are all things that we're working out. We had a very good meeting, and I really think that we should have this finalized very shortly.
Could you thank Mr. Jarvis for us? And I want to thank you for pushing this forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Leary.
No, thank you very much. This is a motion that Councilor Leahy and I put together a long time ago, and I know a lot of other councilors have been involved, and I think as an entire council, we think it's an important issue. I want to thank you as well, working with Peter Jarvis, coming together to make this really happen. This is something that's going to be exciting, connecting the Freeman Trail right from where it ends right in the parking lot at Cross Point and bringing it really further, right up behind the Target area, Target shopping mall area. This is something that's going to actually be a boon economically, not only recreationally. That I use that. My wife rides it with my kids. I know other folks have been on it. It's a very positive thing for the city. And ultimately, when we connect it to the Concord River Greenway, which the previous council put a lot of effort into, it's going to be a major asset to the city of Lowell. Again, economically and recreationally. So I'm very happy. Thank you for taking the effort. I'm very happy for the Jarvis family as well to working on this. Also with Jane Calvin and others that have put a lot of effort and a lot of time trying to make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Belanger, then Councilor Elliott. Did you want to speak on this as well?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to thank the manager for this report, and the good news. It's good to see the conversation is ongoing, Mr. Manager. You just this afternoon had a conversation with Peter Jarvis, and that is great to hear that the Jarvis family is living up to their promise and their obligations that they gave to this council, because we certainly did not want to hold up their expansion. That business is doing very, very well on that Mickey Ward Circle. It looks very good. So it seems like it's just a matter of time until we're able to fulfill our promise to all the avid cyclists that were right in front of this council looking for relief on this project. So it seems like we're well on our way, and it's just a matter of time, Mr. Manager. So please, this is great news. So please keep the council updated further as we move forward. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Counselor. Any further
I
discussion?
don't have much to add, Mr. Mayor. I just want to concur with the comments. This is good news, Mr. Manager. We just had Kurt Geithner at the groundbreaking, the ribbon cutting in South Common, and he specifically spoke of the investments they have made in the Concord River Greenway as well. So this ties in nicely as we move forward to apply for more funds. So I think this is one of these win-wins for the city where we continue economic development, but we find good passive use for the open space. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this issue? If not, we'll move on to the semi-annual downtown vacancy report. Any discussion, Councilor Belanger?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to thank Diane Trad from DPD for a very, very detailed report that gives some very encouraging statistics as to our downtown, where the vacancy in the core of downtown on the first floor retail commercial is under 5%. So we're doing very, very well in that regard. But one thing that bears mentioning is that we were always sort of struggling with this, with the upper floors due to this being old infrastructure and ADA compliant access and whatnot. And it seems like we've made great strides in that regard as well. And that's always been a challenge for us. Back in 2014, we had a nearly 20% vacancy rate, where this year we have about a 10% vacancy rate. And a lot of that is attributed to housing, a new state program by the Baker administration, the Housing Development Incentive Program, which is grant funding for market rate condominiums to boost the vitality of gateway cities such as Lowell. I think it's working very, very well, but we have added almost 500 units to speak, and there are more in construction. So that is good news. But what bears mentioning is that at the same time, at a few properties, and wouldn't mind somebody from DPD coming up to the podium, is that this is what is really encouraging now. We don't want to become too unbalanced. It's great that these upper floors are becoming occupied. But what's going on at 101 Jackson and 100 Merrimack Street is small office suites where starter-up companies are able to rent anywhere from 300 to 600 square feet office with shared amenities and have a rent that's under $1,000 and very affordable for a starter-up company. So this is what I'd like to see. We have Allison Lamy at the podium. I'd like to see somebody elaborate on this to enlighten the council as to this program, because this is something I'd like to see more of. We're going in the right direction, I think, in both fronts. But this, again, I don't want to see us to become too unbalanced with housing. I think we need a mix, balance. So, Mr. Mayor, through you, through Allison Lamy, if you can a little elaborate on this program, I think it's very, very encouraging.
Sure. Thank you. I think that it sounds like what you're referring to is some of the changes and improvements that property owners are making to really get at what the new kind of commercial office uses, what we're seeing in terms of demand. And a lot of that is, shared spaces, smaller spaces, and as you mentioned, 100 Merrimack is one that's doing that, for example. We have seen a change in downtown property ownership, and that's helped kind of rekindle some new relationships with those property owners. They're being creative and kind of thinking outside of the box about what they'll do with their spaces. And we're working with property owners to kind of help make the connection with the companies that are looking to grow and move out of 110 Canal. They may not be ready for, say, 10,000 square feet of space on their own yet, but they might be interested in sharing that space with another business. And so we're working with those property owners to identify what those needs of those companies are, and then they're making some investments in adapting their space to accommodate them.
Right, wonderful. Yeah, that's the latest trend for small business, Allison. It's very good initiative, one I'd like to see keep going. here in our downtown, and I want to commend you as well, as you mentioned, for your continued presence at the 110 Canal, the University of Mass Lowell's M2D2 facility, where we have some shared office space there, where city officials are there to speak and engage with those starter-ups that are in that facility when they are ready to branch out, which the report also indicates in the next 12 to 18 months is going to be more than a handful, to say the least, that are ready for expansion to come out of there. So please, stay on them, okay? We have the space for you in Lowell, we have the incentives, we have the loan programs to retain these businesses, and that is the goal. So I think you're doing great, Allison, with your department and all these initiatives that are going on, along with this market rate housing complex. It's a good combination, but again, I just don't want to become too unbalanced here. But we're going in the right direction for sure. So congratulations to you, and keep up the good work. Thank you very much.
Council Leary?
Just real quick, I just want to commend you. First, the shared office space, especially when you're looking at the incubator companies, I think ultimately, I wouldn't recognize him, ultimately it comes out to, can they survive as a new business? And shared office space is something they've been doing in like Greenwich Village and other parts of, Manhattan, where I've done business with people in insurance, where they're starting out as young consultants, barely making it, paying rent and having that shared information and shared, space with people really gives them a leg up. And the real issue after that, though, is making sure we make the connection afterwards when they're making that growth to ensure that they know they can come to us to help facilitate the next level where they want to go. So I think being the incubator space, having that start, making that connection, going to the next level is where we're really going to become, an area where we're going to drive the tax base in the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Council Leahy, my mistake.
Thank you. That's all right. I think this is a great report. I appreciate all the information and everything that Council Belanger and Council Leary said, highlight some of the great points in this report. But through you to the manager, the other thing that I've noticed, spending a lot of time in the downtown area last couple of weeks, is, and this kind of goes in with the next report, we've got to really sit down maybe with our health director and our DPD and figure out a way to just the crowds downtown, I don't know how else to put it, but some of the people that we're trying to help, we've got to get these social agencies to help some of our homeless and our transients that during the day, quite honestly, they're starting to get aggressive again. There's new faces downtown, and they're coming up and they're asking for money, and they're walking out into the streets. And this isn't something that's just unique to our community. It's happening all across the Commonwealth. But we've got to maybe try to put our heads together and figure out a way for all these agencies to help these people and get them, I guess, out of the streets during the day. I mean, it's not safe for them, and it's not good for businesses downtown. I mean, we're working on the issue over at the TD North building, but this is something that works with our local businesses, and we have to help them, but they need to also be part of the solution. So maybe in the next few weeks, I don't know how we want to go about this. We could put some sort of motion together, or we could put something together, but it's got to be a community effort. The police just can't do it alone. It's got to be business, private, police, health agencies, all the social agencies. And we've got to, it's going to be good for everybody, businesses and these people alike. So maybe we could start focusing on that, because we're on a roll with this. Businesses come and go, but for the most part, we're attracting good businesses, good restaurants to the downtown, and we need to support the businesses that have been here for a long time in the city. So, you get what I'm saying, so we just need to work on that. But thank you. This is a great report, and it shows great progress.
Thank you, Councilor Samaras.
Thank you. No, Allison, I just want to thank you and your staff for a great report. There are 3 points that you brought up amongst many other initiatives. You have a lot of initiatives that you have in your department. The first one about recruitment and networking, not only in Lowell, but Boston, the greater Boston area. That's being aggressive. That's what we want to see. But also, I like the idea, and Councilor Leahy was talking about the business retention program. It's one thing to have companies that come to Lowell, but sometimes they need that support. They may be doing well, but all of a sudden they hit a wall, and I think the city should do everything it can to help, and this is a strong indication you're doing that. And finally, I like the idea of the entrepreneurship support, because Councilor Leahy was alluding to it. We have a lot of startup companies. The university is working in that direction. So I think this bodes well for the future of the city of Lowell. But it's activities like this that make it work. I just want to thank you and your staff for this.
Thank you, Councilor Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, a very promising report, but I can't help but to respond to the point Councilor Leahy made about the aggressiveness that still persists in our downtown. It's an ongoing issue, and it's not getting any better. We have Superintendent Taylor here, and, you know, when we asked him to enforce the TD Bank area where people are sitting on the park benches and things get a little well beyond nuisance levels, if you will, then they just move to another location. So with that being said, Mr. Mayor, through you to the manager, where are we on this Change for Change program? As just a few weeks ago, the council was out holding signs. Now, just to enlighten the viewers at home, the city of Lowell is encouraging all residents, not in Lowell and beyond, to not to give to panhandlers, but the message is not to give. We're asking to give to a food pantry, a food bank of some sort, a Salvation Army, rather than give to a panhandler. So we are about to embark an initiative with a marketing program, and I understand freestanding meters, Mr. Manager, where downtown pedestrians can put money in a meter that will go to different organizations. I think it's a great initiative, but it seems to be taking a little while. I know we lost our intern, but it seems to be slow going as far as launching. So where are we with that? 'Cause I think it's a great program and a great message, Mr. Manager, if you will.
Well, what we've done is we've developed and I've approved the signs that are going to be put up in downtown Lowell relative to encouraging people to not give to panhandlers. We got a great idea from a recent neighborhood meeting. A resident said that we should have cards that we hand out to people in downtown saying not to give, not just a sign, but give them cards right in their hand saying that to use their change for change, don't give to panhandlers. We're going to develop some of those cards. The parking meter has been more of an issue relative basically to how we're going to trigger the donations to the different charities, but we are still working on that. But right now, the signage and the hand cards are our main thrust right now.
Excellent. I think that's a great idea. See, when residents of the city chime in, we can get ideas. So I think it's great. Because as Councilor Lee said, it's well beyond nuisance levels. And Lowell's, it's not unique to Lowell. It is everywhere. So that's great to see, Mr. Manager. And again, the message is not to give. We're not, City of Lowell is not saying do not give, do not help people. We're saying let's give the money where we know it goes to a charitable organization where these individuals can get their services. Rather, we know that in some cases it enables individuals who may have substance abuse disorders, and it may go towards that in some cases. So I look forward to future updates on this, Mr. Manager. I think it will help curb what's going on there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion? If not, we'll move on to the Lowell Stat Report on the Health Department. Any discussion regarding that issue? Hearing none, we'll move on to the State of the City Address. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And annually, what I'd like to do, and by way of a motion by Councilor Belanger, is to give the council an update on what I think the status of the city is and the major issues that my administration has been pushing. First of all, as you can see, the areas of my priority have been economic development, education, and public safety. And those three areas of priority really work together, because when you combine those three in a successful enterprise, you're going to have a great quality of life in the city of Lowell. I'd like to first give an update on economic development and start with the Hamilton Canal Innovation District. And I just want to do a panoramic review in my own mind of the Hamilton Canal District. I don't know if you've driven by lately, but the Judicial Center is rising in the sky. I mean, I've been pushing that boulder uphill for over 15 years, and I never imagined it was going to be as massive a structure as it is right now. And that's only 5 stories that are there right now. There's 2 more stories to go on the Judicial Center. So that's an exciting, I think it's going to bring 1,000 to 1,500 customers a day to the Judicial Center, and I think that's going to spur some economic development relative to restaurants, office space in the nearby environment. Next door is, we've been working with Sal Lapoli relative to a signature development of mixed residential, commercial, and business use. And it's interesting, Dave Heller, the owner of the Spinners, is so committed to Lowell now, he's partnering with Sal Lapoli on a project on those 2 parcels next to the Judicial Center. So I'm looking forward to getting a proposal from them in the near future. 110 Canal Place, that's where the University of Massachusetts Lowell Innovation Hub is. They have just got a tenant for the final 2 floors of the Innovation Hub. So that building is going to be filled to capacity in the very near future. So that's great news. If you just go right next to the Innovation Hub, that's where parcels 8 and 9 are. We had a great presentation at 5:30 in the Economic Development Subcommittee by Wind Development relative to their proposal to build a mixed residential and commercial venture on parcels 8 and 9. It would have 10,000 square feet. You'll be hearing more from that from the Economic Development Subcommittee in the future. And then right across, actually diagonal from the Judicial Center, is we're working with S&R Corporation. I think they're an exciting business in Lowell right now. They're up by Broadway, the Broadway Bridge. That's where their construction activities go on. But they need an office space, and they want to build a office building similar to Tremont Yards, diagonal from the Judicial Center. So quite honestly, if we get all of that to click, all of the parcels on this side of the canal are going to be filled with developments, and that's really exciting news. On the other side of the canal, we're in the design phase of the 975 space parking garage. We expect that to be completed in November of 2019. We're doing the infrastructure over in that area. That's through the MassWorks and the EDA grant that will bring in all of the infrastructure necessary for Watermark, who is committed to build a signature building on parcel 17. So I think the Hamilton Canal is clicking. I still will tell you, I believe we need a master developer, and I continue to look for a master developer, not for the parcels on this side of the canal, but on the parcels for the Dutton Street side of the canal, and we'll continue to work on that. The Thorndike Exchange project, it was great. We had a ribbon cutting of the improvements to South Common today, and right across the street, the Thorndike Exchange project by Sal Lapoli is going along great. He expects that they'll begin occupancy in January of 2018. We've welcomed 6 new restaurants to downtown Lowell. I hope you've had an opportunity to try them out. There's the Capricci Cafe, Holly Crab, Sweet Journey, Louie Louie, Lowell Burger Company, and soon opening up is going to be Warp in Weft. We have obviously been continuing to help Kronos locate to the Cross Point Towers. And tonight, I think an exciting expansion that we're going to be asking you to consider a TIF agreement with is Boston Chowder. Boston Chowder was looking to locate, to expand their operations outside of the city of Lowell, but we have been successful in encouraging them to stay here in the city of Lowell, and they will expand their operations and create new jobs. Public safety. I think everybody has to agree that our city is safer today than it has been in years. And I credit that to a number of reasons. Number one, it's been the courage and the wisdom of the City Council to appropriate funds in the annual operating budget that allows us to have a police force of 250 uniformed officers today. That's the highest amount that it's been in decades. But with that, it comes the responsibility of the superintendent of police and his command staff to deploy those officers, and I think they've deployed those officers in a great fashion. And most importantly, the good work of those officers. You can see them out in the streets day to day. I have a police radio in my car, and I can't believe the amount of responses they have on a daily basis, and the calm and collected response that they have to all of those calls. I've set out a number of crime statistics for you. I'm not going to go through each one of them, but there is one thing I do want to point out that I've been very proud of Superintendent Taylor in the Lowell Police Force, is that the city of Lowell is not a Ferguson, Missouri. It's not a Baltimore, Maryland. This superintendent and this police force has continued to reach out to the minority populations in the city of Lowell to make them feel part of the city, to make them know that they are an integral part of the city, and to make them know that we are interested in protecting them and working with them. And I think I'm very proud of the fact that we have such a great working relationship between our police force and all the residents of the city of Lowell. I don't think anybody in the city of Lowell feels disinterested by the Lowell Police Department. Next is the Lowell Fire Department. Again, the annual operating budget that this council has approved allows the fire department to have a staff at 213 firefighters. That's a high, again, for decades in the city of Lowell. But this is an important thing. Not only do we have the highest, but this has helped out from an economic standpoint because we have less overtime costs now, and we have less company closings. And it's been, I think, Chief Winwood and the firefighters have done a tremendous job in making sure that the city is safe from fires. But quite honestly, and sometimes quite sadly, the fire department is now at the front of the opiate abuse issue in the city of Lowell. They have Narcan on each and every fire apparatus in the city of Lowell, and they're the people, along with the police department, that are the first responders to get there. And I know they've saved many lives working with the police department and themselves. And they continue to work to make our city not only safe from fire, but safe from drug overdoses. I've listed other things that we're doing for the fire department in our annual budget, including turnout gear and purchase of new vehicles for your own edification. And of course, education. I'm glad my staff picked a picture of a school that's near and dear to my heart. But we really have a great partnership with education from K through a doctorate degree. I mean, this city council has made great investments in the Lowell public school system. We all know that just several years ago, we were $4.5 million below net school spending as required by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Last fiscal year, we were over $9 million above the net school spending requirements of the Commonwealth. In this fiscal year, we're anticipating that we're going to have the same type of figures above net school spending. So the commitment to K through 12 education has been tremendous. We have a great working partnership with Middlesex Community College and the University of Massachusetts at Lowell, especially as it was evidenced by the recent master agreement that we entered into. We're expending capital money as best that we can. We have a responsibility to make sure each and every school is maintained in a proper fashion so the students learn in a healthy environment. And we've been investing money in HVAC systems and roofs. As a matter of fact, as I reported recently, we're going to be investing $1.2 million in putting a new roof on the Lowell High School building to stop the leaks. So education, I think, is an investment that's important, and it's an investment that we're making. And all of those three priorities lead to a great quality of life in the city. I think everybody has to agree that we've had more festivals and more events in downtown Lowell in recent years. Some of the highlights of our festivals are the July 4th celebration, the City of Lights Parade, and the Winterfest. But we also have other things like the Monster Bash. We have the Kinetic Sculpture Race coming up. I was here Friday night for the Food Truck Festival, and it was terrific. So more and more festivals are coming to the city of Lowell. Not only does it help out in the quality of life, but also it helps out the establishments in downtown Lowell. We negotiated a new 10-year lease with the Lowell Spinners. They're committed to Lowell for 10 years. Our capital plan is concentrating on curb appeal. We're making sure that we continue to pave the streets, fix the sidewalks, make the city look better and better. And we're also making improvements to the Lowell Memorial Auditorium to attract more events to that facility. So I must say that all in all, as a longtime resident of the city of Lowell, I'm proud of the state of the city today. I think we're in great shape. People who come from outside just marvel at what a city it is and how vibrant it is, and that's thanks to the City Council, thanks to all of the employees of the City of Lowell, and most importantly, thanks to all the residents of the City of Lowell for making it such a great city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Any discussion? Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the city manager. Taking Lowell High School issue off the table. For many, many years, when you would go door to door and talk to people, their number one concern to me was not something so bizarre, but as simple as streets and sidewalks. It was like the number one issue: sidewalks, streets. And since you've been the city manager, I've noticed we're very fond of saying gateways into the city. And if you go down Westford Street some years ago in deplorable condition, you had the whole repaving of Westford Street and the sidewalks in Couple Square. Then you just had the paving of Church Street and that gateway coming in from 133 and the sidewalks. Then we've had Bridge Street, another thoroughfare coming into the city, a gateway where you get the sidewalks. And I'm very, very impressed with seeing continual improvements to the infrastructure in the city. We're always doing something to make this city better in terms of getting from one place to another. So I just wanted to say, personally, I'm very grateful for all the different sections of the city that have been not neglected but looked after to make it a better place for people to walk, for people to ride. I know that one day we're going to get to Carney Square down here and get rid of that sinkhole that's going to swallow us all up one day. But I'm very grateful to be able to tell you that this to me matters a great deal, because I just give you the message that I hear people saying. So I just wanted you to know that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion? If not, thank you for your State of the City address, Mr. Manager. The chair would entertain a motion to accept all the communications from the city manager and place them on file by Councilor Mercia, second by Councilor Leahy. Discussion on the motion. All in favor? All opposed? So voted. Being shortly after 7 o'clock, we will go to the public hearings. Councilor Elliott.
I know that we have a number of public hearings, Mr. Mayor, and we're at that time. That could probably go for quite some time. We have a number of appointments. I'm wondering if we could just take those out of turn so those folks don't have to be in there for probably several hours.
Okay, if there's no objection, Councilor Elliott is asking that we take the appointments out of order. If there's no objection, we'll do that by general consent. The chair would suggest a motion to bundle items 4.4 through 4.9, accept them, place on file, and take one roll call vote for all of the appointments. Does anybody want to make that motion? That motion by Councilor Rourke, second by Councilor Samaras. Discussion on the motion. Roll call. Councilor Leary.
I want to thank Mr. Bailey for his service. This is a person who's put a lot of time and really good, hard work doing a service for the city that's not easy. So I just want to publicly thank Bill for all of his efforts. Him leaving the zoning board is going to be a great loss for the city. He was a true individual that was a leader, someone who was a calming effect as the chairperson of the zoning board, which is not an easy board to serve on, much less be a chairman and lead. So, thank you for your service, Bill, and I wish you luck in being a citizen of Lowell. I know you'll be involved in the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Elliott.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just briefly, I concur. He served on the Board of Health many, many years before he was asked, I believe, by the previous city manager, Bernie Lynch, to serve on the Zoning Board of Appeals. Brought a lot of experience and to that board. So I agree if we can send him a letter of thanks. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any further discussion? There are several members, after we take the vote, there are several members that are present that are being appointed tonight, so maybe if they want to come to the podium before they leave and just say a word or two. Anyways, roll call.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Counsel Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Leary.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
9 yeas.
So I think, is Mr. Pinn and Mr. Robbins here?
Hi, my name is Chai Barong Pin. I am a local artist to the City of Lowell. I would like to thank Kevin Murphy, the City Councils, and the Culture Councils, as well as Kevin Coughlin for appointing me and Xavier to the Culture Art Councils. I am here to inspire the people of Lowell within the interest of public art, and I am here to exchange knowledge from my knowledge and experience with all around with you guys.
Well, it's great to be here. My name's Xavier Robbins. Also working with Chai as a local Lowell City artist. I'm just so blessed to be here. I really have a passion for Lowell. I love this city, and I feel like we can really, really have a great impact with art in the city and bring things alive. I heard you guys talking about the sidewalks and stuff like that, and it'd be great if we can brighten all these things up with some type of art, not too much. And I'm just happy to be here and to work hard and to be dedicated to get art done and to go by anything that means necessary. And yes, that's it.
Thank you.
Let's inspire. Let's inspire.
Jordan, guys.
Good evening, Mr. Manager, members of the council. Mark Breer, newest member of the Zoning Board of Appeals. I want to thank you all for the opportunity to serve the city once again. I had previously had the honor of serving under the Cox and Lynch administrations as a Democratic representative to the Election Commission. It was an experience that I found very rewarding. I was delighted when I was being considered, when I learned of my consideration for the Zoning Board of Appeals, and respectfully agreed to serve with your approval. So please accept my thanks for this opportunity to serve once again, and most importantly, accept my gratitude for the confidence that you're expressing in me, and I pledge a work ethic to you all and to our citizens that will be worthy of your confidence. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Is Jordan Guys here?
Good evening, everybody.
First,
I want to thank City Manager Murphy, Mayor Kennedy, and the City Council for unanimous approval. I've gotten to know a lot of you over the past couple years, and many of you become good friends of mine. And though we have our differences, the one thing we all have in common is we love this city and we want to make it a better place to live day by day. And I'm honored that I was chosen to continue to serve my city and do that in a new capacity. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you. Dennis McCarthy here. How about Richard Snetsky?
Thank you. I'm Dick Snetsky, and I'd like to thank the manager and the council for the having appointed me as the associate to the planning board 2.5 years ago, and for their continued confidence in appointing me now to continue to serve for the next 5 years as a regular member. I've enjoyed my service on the board, and I look forward to continuing to serve the city of Lowell and review projects in the best interest of the city. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now we'll go to the public hearings. We have 2 public hearings scheduled for this evening. The first one is to accept an amendment to the Code of Ordinances regarding boating and watercraft. So if there's no objection, we'll do the second reading. An ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances in the City of Lowell, Massachusetts with respect to the establishment of a new Chapter 285 entitled Boating and Watercraft. Anybody who wishes to speak in favor? In favor?
Thank you, Mayor. Superintendent Taylor from the Lowell Police Department. Excuse me, I'd like to speak in favor of this proposed ordinance. I think as many people are aware, over the past several years, the city has seen an increase of use of watercraft on the city's river, principally a stretch of very congested portion of the Merrimack River. I think this ordinance specifically addresses a public safety concern that is an issue that we need to address from the city's perspective. The city does have the right to regulate, as the ordinance specifies, certain boat and watercraft traffic on the city's waterways. As everybody knows, the Merrimack River is a primary access point for recreational boating, rowing, kayaking, and other water activities. In the particular stretch that we're talking about, which would be from the Rourke Bridge downstream to the falls, and then including some of the canals within the city, but especially that particular section of the Merrimack River, there's a congestion of various uses of activity in that area on a very narrow stretch of that river. The river is only a few hundred yards across, and that would include the UMass Lowell Bellegarde Boathouse, which is used principally for non-motorized sporting activities. It also has the Merrimack River Rowing Association, which is a boathouse down almost at the falls. The Lowell Motor Boat Club, which actually is the one I was talking about down almost at the falls. The Merrimack River Rowing Association also uses, excuse me, the Bellegarde Boathouse. We also have the City of Lowell Beach, the Rhine Beach, which is heavily used during the summer months for recreational swimming. Also, the National Park Service uses that stretch of the river as part of their visitor tours, which I think is very important. The Merrimack Falls is contained at one end of that stretch of the river, which is very dangerous if not used in an appropriate fashion, and especially if people are not familiar with it. And then all around that area, you have the Heritage State Park, the Sampras Pavilion, the Vandenberg Esplanade, and also various other special events that take place on that section of the river. All this activity in a very congested portion of the river makes for very dangerous conditions. As I've indicated, the river is particularly narrow at that point and not conducive to high-speed personal watercraft such as jet skis. What I think is that if we enact this particular ordinance, it's a balance between the public safety needs in the city and also the recreational boating that would potentially use personal watercraft. This ordinance would specifically allow people that have personal watercraft, jet skis, to use the state boat launch across from Maycom on the boulevard. They'd be able to go into the river there and then either go down a short way to the Rourke Bridge, but most importantly, they could continue upstream from there all the way past the state line. So it provides a balanced approach to safeguard public safety in that very congested, narrow section of the river, but also allows for people that use personal watercraft to use the most appropriate access point, which is that state boat launch, and then continue upstream. Over the past several years, we've noticed an increase in personal watercraft, these jet skis, so to speak, on that section of the river. And in talking with Sergeant Pappas, who is here, who is our Lowell Police Harbor Master, right here, he's going to address the council and give some idea of what his duties and responsibilities are as the harbor master within the city. But in talking with many individuals that increasingly over the past couple of years use personal watercraft on this portion of the river, we know that they come to the Merrimack River because either other inland waterways have restricted use, similar to what we're proposing, or the other possibility is they've seen a lot of increased enforcement in other areas. For example, Boston Harbor has a multitude of agencies that have jurisdiction and resources to patrol Boston Harbor. So that has led them to come up to areas like the Merrimack River and Lowell, where they think that they can conduct activity without close scrutiny. I think the most important thing to note is that over the past year, this summer, we've experienced 2 fatal jet ski accidents in the city. And clearly, without some kind of constraints on the river and some prohibition about these jet skis, my concern would be that this would continue. I'm going to turn it over to Sergeant Pappas. In addition to that, we have several representatives from the various entities and organizations that use the river in that congested stretch that are also here to address the City Council and speak in favor of this ordinance. I just will tell you that we've had a harbor master in the city for probably 20 years. The police chief in a community can appoint a harbor master, and then once we appoint a harbor master, as Sergeant Pappas will highlight, it gives the local police agencies the ability to exercise 90B powers, which is, enforcement activity on the inland waterways in the Commonwealth. If I didn't have a harbor master, we wouldn't be able to do that. We'd have to rely on the environmental police. So we have had a harbor master for many years here, and I don't know if this was included in your packet, but we do have a summary of the enforcement activity that we've taken just this particular summer. You can take a look at it. You'll see that we've conducted hundreds of inspections and enforcement activity on the river, and still the problem persists.
Thank you, Chief. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sergeant Charles Papa Constantino, a.k.a. Sergeant Pappas. I stand before you tonight as the City of Lowell Harbor Master. This is a collateral duty aside from my position as a street supervisor on the evening shift. When I tell people I'm the Lowell Police Harbor Master, I oftentimes get a funny look from people. They say, why do we have a harbor master? We don't have a harbor. We're not a coastal community. But as the chief stated, under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 90, Section 12, the chief executive or the chief of police has to designate somebody as a harbor master in order to enforce any 90B, or 90B stands for boating laws, within the Commonwealth. So if we didn't have a harbor master or assistant harbor masters, there would be no way we'd be able to enforce any laws on the Merrimack River. So having said that, that is why I've been tapped as such. And I believe that I was, because prior to my career in policing, I was a member of the United States Coast Guard for 6 years, where I conducted small boat operations throughout the Commonwealth, and I have a lot of experience in maritime law enforcement and search and rescue. So when we get down to the nitty-gritty of this in regards to the jet skis on this particular stretch of the river, as the chief stated, this is a multi-use area. We have people kayaking, wind sailing, canoeing, fishing. We have a massive swim area at Wren Beach. And these jet skis, which we've seen a massive influx of, have just created problems. And you can go out there on any given day in the summertime, and you can see these machines just buzzing around at high rates of speed. They're circling around, they're creating artificial waves so that they can jump them for a more exhilarating effect when they're riding. They're entering swim zones, they're disregarding no-wake zones, they're clogging the boat ramp, they're loading in places where they shouldn't have been loading. It's been brought to my attention by some folks from the Lowell Recreation Department that they're actually not loading all their machines at the public boat ramp. What they're doing now to avoid any type of enforcement action up there when we have shoreside patrols is they're actually wheeling their machines down on the trailers across the green space and just putting them in the river there. So that's a problem also. So as the chief stated, this problem is out of control, and I've talked to several people that I've stopped out there. And what's the best way to find out why people are doing things? You talk to them. So I ask people, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Lawrence, I'm from Lynn, I'm from Boston, I'm from Haverhill, I'm from Methuen. Well, why do you come to Lowell? You all have bodies of water. You have the Boston Harbor, you have the Merrimack River in Lawrence, you have it in Haverhill, you have it in Methuen. Why do you come here? Oh, well, they're too strict up there. It's not as strict down here. That's a problem, I think. I think that's a severe problem. So I would ask that this ordinance be passed. I think that if we fail to do so, like the chief said, we had 2 deaths this summer, one in Lowell, one in Chelmsford, right across the line. But if it's Chelmsford's problem, it's our problem. We share the waterway with them. I think that we're going to have a lot more injuries. And, you know, this year was unfortunately 2 jet skiers, but, you know, we have these kids swimming in the water at the beach. I've watched these machines enter the swim zones. You know, people fall off these machines, they get thrown off them. The machine keeps going. It's you know, it's just like a car but there's no brakes, you know, so the machines keep going. So it's very dangerous. So I'll ask that the city please, you know, consider this carefully and pass this ordinance. It would help us out a lot, and it would be, you know, beneficial for the people who use this river. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else who wishes to speak in favor?
Thank you. Hi, folks. Dana Skinner here, UMass Lowell. Good to see everybody. I'm here representing the university, what they said, basically. We manage the boathouse. We have a university rowing team. We manage it for the high school. MRRA is in there. And I'm not going to get into all the specifics. The officers all covered that great. Thank you very much. I will tell you that we have had numerous near misses with rowing shells out there, and one actual jet ski that made contact with one of the rowers. So it is a very dangerous area for us. We've had concern about this area for a number of years. I'm frankly glad that at least it's up in front of you right now. I think it's important, and it's certainly, from our perspective, from a safety perspective, we are in full support of this ordinance, and we'll do anything that we can to try to help make that area as safe as possible. The activity out there has grown dramatically since the boathouse was renovated. You all played an important role in helping us to renovate that boathouse and turning into a well-functioning recreational facility, and we like to keep it that way. So we speak on behalf of the ordinance, and good to see everybody. We'll see you all at Riverhawk Hockey.
Thank you. Anybody else who wishes to speak in favor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, for giving me a few minutes to speak on this matter. My name is Ryan Wright. I'm the Chief of Law Enforcement and Emergency Services for Lowell National Historical Park. And we enjoy a strong partnership with the City of Lowell, and in my personal experience, specifically with the Lowell Police Department. On the issue of personal watercraft operating in the Merrimack River, park employees have reported several safety issues pertinent to the proposed ordinance. For a little bit of background, the park itself operates a 45-foot pontoon boat, carries approximately 40 passengers, and we provide educational tours celebrating the rich history of the city of Lowell in the same general area of the river here where these personal watercraft issues are occurring. This summer, park boat operators and deckhands have reported that on nearly every tour, they've experienced unsafe personal watercraft operations that put the tour boat and its passengers at potential risk. Specifically, with one reported incident as an example, one of our boat captains reported several personal watercraft lined up abreast who appeared to be racing. These watercraft were headed directly toward the bow of the tour boat, requiring the captain to place the tour boat in reverse to avoid a collision. The captain reported that the personal watercraft would swerve at the last second to avoid colliding with the tour boat. And later that same evening, a personal watercraft began circling the tour boat at a high rate of speed, requiring the captain to once again take measures to avoid collisions. This type of activity, along with jet skis jumping the boat's wake immediately behind the boat, playing chicken by operating at high speeds head-on, and several times operating so close to the boat that they would actually splash the passengers on this pontoon boat. So because of the above factors, Lowell National Historical Park is in favor of the proposed ordinance and also happy to assist the city of Lowell in improving the public safety upon the Merrimack River so that we can all enjoy it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. In favor?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Manager, and members of my, members of my City Council. I'm in favor of this ordinance for a number of reasons. I live on Dunbar Avenue, and from my front yard, I can see the finish line that the high school and the college uses regularly, year after year. The sculls have been on that river, and I'm not saying that's why, but the sculls have been on that river for well over 50 years. And it has become so crowded now that my daughter, who coaches for the high school, one of her boats, not her boat she was in, but one of her students' boats was the boat Mr. Skinner was talking about, and they've warned them. They have speakers on the boats, and they want them to stay back. There is a wake zone, and they totally disregard this. The last thing I want to do is disagree with the police chief.
But I would really love to see, and I know we're talking jurisdiction, I'd really love to see them bouncing them further upstream. These people in the boats, and I'm talking the MWRA, that allow your children, grandchildren to go out there and learn how to row and learn how to paddle or canoe, they're out there on their, between the high school, that organization, and the college, there's well over 200 people that are out there on boats throughout the summer, spring, and fall. But they go, for the most part, in the other direction. I mean, granted, they go down as far as Camelot Court, but they don't go beyond that unless they're racing. They're generally running upriver where it's wider. And it's become a real problem. There are certain parts that are very narrow because of rocks and debris that are there. And sometimes, if you've ever been in a boat or you've ever been on a snowmobile, you don't hear them all the time until they're right on top of you. And if in a boat you're looking the other way, it can be very dangerous. So I'm very much in favor of this ordinance, and I thank whoever was responsible for bringing it up, and I hope it does pass.
Thank you. Anybody else who wishes to speak in favor?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kevin Soleil. I work for UMass Lowell, Assistant Director of Outdoor and Bicycle Programs. I know Dana already mentioned UMass Lowell's position, but I'm coming to you as a citizen of Lowell as well. I spent a significant amount of time on that river with my family, my young daughter, learning to paddle, and see a lot of families out of there, like little kids and parents going out for the first time, having first experiences. So that's the hat I'm going to wear for the time being. Really want to just appreciate all the police presence since I started perceiving this just a couple of years ago. The police presence has actually helped a lot. So yeah, I witness regularly irresponsible operation, harassment, and near misses. Some of the feelings that I get when I'm going out there to paddle with my daughter, I want her to develop a love for the city, a love for outdoor recreation. The river is very close and awesome. Local resource that we have, I think, really important for everybody to have access to. But the feelings that I get when I go out to there, when there's a high traffic, even if people are operating responsibly, due to all of this, the shenanigans I've witnessed, it's anxiety and fear. And I have to say that I've witnessed a lot of lost opportunities too. People just not willing to get out there and have those first experiences because of you wouldn't want your kid playing on the highway. It seems like the same thing here. That being said, I want to acknowledge that everybody definitely has a right to this river, and I think it's really unfortunate that some users will suffer as a result of the actions of a few. So I think I'm in favor of ultimately this ordinance, but I think we need to make sure that we're getting opportunities for everyone on the river and doing it in a way that helps everybody succeed and helps everybody have positive experiences out there. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else who wishes to speak in favor?
My name is Mark D'Souza. I live in Tingsboro. I actually have a jet ski, and I have a pontoon boat sitting in the river right now. I think what Mr. Pappas said is enforcement. If we don't enforce the drunk driving laws, we're going to have drunks on the street. You had people that were driving 10 o'clock at night, drunk, no life jackets. When you guys go home tonight, shut your lights off and drive down the street. And then if you want, you get drunk too and see what happens. No brakes. That's what happens out there. Enforcement. I was going to Lowell on my jet ski today. I seen the crew boats coming up. I didn't want to deal with it. I turned back. There are plenty of other places I could go. But I do like to see what's happening in Lowell. I do like to see what's happening at the dam, the progress. When's it going to be done? Do we have to worry about the next flood? So there are no wake zones. Nobody follows the rules. You can go buy a jet ski. You can drive it tomorrow as long as you register it. You don't need to take a license. You don't need to take a test. Just got to put gas in the key and you're gone. So we need education, enforcement. I've been on the river 20 years, 4 jet skis, 3 boats, never had an accident. I got stopped twice this year. Didn't take the cover off my boat. They couldn't see my numbers. I was going 5 miles an hour, and one cop did put the speed gun at me, but I was only going 25. But enforcement. You know, you look at what happened on July 4th. I go down the river once a year in the nighttime. That is on July 4th. On July 4th this year, I went down there at 7 o'clock in the morning. I seen what was happening down there. I knew enough to stay away. Don't go down there. You know, we don't even enforce the parking regulations on the state highway. We had cars double parked on the state highway on Ryan Beach side on a highway and single parked on the other side. Where's the enforcement? Enforcement. That's what it's going to take. Rules, you can make all the rules you want. Nobody's following them. Enforcement.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Councilman, I'm Mark Romanowski. I represent the Merrimack River Rowing Association. I've had a presence on the river for all my life, but in rowing last 30 years. So I'm also their representative from their safety committee. So for the last 30 years, part of our agreement with the state was to run a Learn to Row program for the community. So we've carried that out. And unfortunately, this year we've had a few very close misses. So there's been a lot of conversation amongst the members of the Merrimack River Rowing Association. So I just want to represent them and feeling very strongly about this ordinance. I agree. I think you know, we've lived with the fishermen forever. They've got these bass boats. They hit it. They go 50 miles an hour till they get to their spot. They put on, you know, the 1 mile an hour little trolling engine, and they're fine. And actually, they're very they watch out for us. They know us. We live together, and that's not really a problem. But the jet skiers, unfortunately, I don't think there's really an enforcement. I don't think there's any education on their part on driving such an engine and the power and the energy. And I've actually been surrounded by one. I was rowing one day, and when I sit on the water in my shell, I'm about 2 inches off the water. That's where my water line is. And so my boat's made out of wood. It's about 1/8 of an inch. So it doesn't take much to damage a shell. And this one fellow fell off his vehicle, and it's kept on going around on me. So I finally timed it so I could row away from it. But he had complete loss of his engine, and it became a dangerous situation. So we're in support of it. I'm also in support of using the river. We've got a wonderful river, and we're so fortunate and blessed. So I think what I hear tonight is a lot of really good things on protecting everybody's rights and enforcing it. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak in favor?
Yes, it's Chip Dunn. I work for the Recreation Department. I've done the swimming since the river opened for swimming. And frankly, I'm surprised that there haven't been more accidents and more deaths on the river in the last 5 years. It's been getting worse and worse. And the gentleman's right that said it's, you know, we can stand up here and talk about what's right and what's wrong, but if we don't put give the police department the power to do the enforcement, a lot of us just wasted our night coming up here. We've tried numerous times posting rules, regulations. It does no good. If you don't enforce the rules, you know, there are going to be more accidents. You can't ask the people that are lifeguarding there to do a whole lot more than they do. You know, you're talking about, you know, 17, 18, 19-year-old kids going up to groups of people that use the river, and you know, they get intimidated. And even if I go down there, you know, they don't know the rules. And if you decide to pass this, I hope you do it with the thought of giving Officer Pappas a little bit of leeway to put a little bite into the program. UMass Lowell has been great since they started up there. The boathouse down at the river, the Vespa boathouse, I believe it's called, those people know the rules, and they've been great. So it's really just the jet skis that have been the worst part of it. And like I said, it's unless we do something about it, there are going to be many more accidents because it has been getting worse. The last 5 years have been really bad. So I hope you do it, and I hope you give them a little bit of leverage so they can do their job. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else who wishes to speak in favor?
Thank you. Mike Jarvis, Assistant Aquatics Coordinator. To go off of what Chip had said, I just want to bring light to you a little bit. You can look at some of these pictures, pass them down. This is what we deal with regularly. So what you're looking at is a stolen bit of dock from the UMass Lowell boathouse that I found strung up down closer to the falls. I cut it off and brought it back up myself to help the UMass Lowell teams out, but that's what we see, that's what we deal with. That's just one weekend. That was one night. After one day of use on the river from jet skiers, as it was reported earlier, they're not using the boat ramp regularly. They're bringing their jet skis, and this is not everybody. This is, you know, a select few that we've caught pushing their trailers right down through the inlets that have kind of made their way from overuse. But the jet skis driving right up, right into over our swim lines, right up next to kids playing, and they pick the kids up, put them on the jet skis, take them out, and we've seen them play chicken. I've seen them ride jet skis sitting on the front, holding the handles in reverse, doing wheels. As Officer Pappas had stated, they're trying to make false wakes to gain more, more lift and leverage, and it's just our lifeguards that are out there from 11 to 7 every day trying to enforce the rules. We have the boating regulations in Spanish and in English right now, the two languages that we pass out. We go down the boulevard, actually passing them out to the groups of people that we see with life jackets in hopes that they gain some education. But again, the no wakes are not followed. The drinking on the river is a problem. It all kind of collectively stems together to the use of the river for with the jet skis. So I'm in favor of this ordinance passing as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? In favor? Hearing none, we'll close the hearing on behalf of the proponents and open it up for those who wish to speak in opposition. Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition?
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy, City Manager, and the City Council, or councilors. My name is Chris Manthos. I'm with the American Watercraft Association. And one thing I've sat here through this whole starting at the 5:30 meeting, is how Lowell can handle anything, how Lowell is being dynamic, how it's turned everything around, except apparently it can't deal with a personal watercraft issue, which is law enforcement. This is a law enforcement issue. There can be times when you have too many people on the water, and that's a law enforcement issue. The two tragedies that occurred this year are law enforcement issues. Everything that I've heard described here is illegal already, and you know it. You know it. And I can also tell you, Massachusetts law requires that a boat have a connector to its engine stop. So they just don't keep going. I can understand some people being confused about that, but I can't understand professionals being confused about that. Under your proposed law, Section 285-4 says the city manager has the ability to basically deputize the entire city departments, every one of them, to enforce this law. Why isn't it being done now? Why wasn't it being done this summer? Why wasn't it? I understand that you can be overwhelmed at times, but it's enforcement. You have every law there, the environmental police, everything you can think of that you think could possibly be illegal already is illegal. It already is illegal. Lives could have been preserved if they enforced the law. Not only that, this is unfair and unjust. I'm pretty sure that in Massachusetts, just like everywhere else, we don't go holding the innocent responsible for the crimes of the guilty or the acts of the guilty. That's not how this goes in Massachusetts, is it? I don't think so. It doesn't go like that where I come from, and it doesn't go like that in the rest of America. It's not fair, and it's unjust. And you're singling out, I hear some people up here talking in favor, and they're like, oh, this is great, man, because we're going to, everybody's got their rights preserved, except for personal watercraft owners. We talk about, I sat here and listened to this meeting all day, and it was, hey, we're going to do some stuff. We're making headway. We're doing great. I really encourage you to revisit this issue when cooler heads prevail. We got a winter coming up. I'd be glad to sit down and discuss this issue with any one of you, including the companies that I represent and the dealerships right here in the local area that I represent and the riders that I represent would be more than happy to assist law enforcement in doing this. It's not fair. It's not just. The people of Lowell deserve better. I think this is rushed. Also, I question, Mr. Mayor, and you'll have to beg my indulgence there, I question that the superintendent of police adding something to the public record without the public seeing it first. So I question whether that's really an ethical issue at this point. And I would ask this meeting and this rule that you not vote on this tonight, and if you do vote on it, let's start fresh. Let's vote this measure down and start fresh with some reasonable mindset in place. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in opposition?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is John Ritchie. I was alerted to this meeting tonight by the National American Watercraft Association. Chris, I just met you here the first time. As a Massachusetts resident and an experienced personal watercraft user, I felt impelled to speak tonight against the proposed ban of the personal watercrafts, which includes jet skis, wet bikes, surf jets, whatever you want to call them. Obviously, the recent tragedies have prompted this proposed unfair ban to all riders. This is unfair and unjust to apply to all riders for the proposed ban on this riverway. I ask you, do you shut down a roadway on land if a motorcycle, which is equivalent on land to a personal watercraft on the water, has an accident, even if the other involved in the accident is a motorcycle? No, of course not. What you do is you take and analyze what's gone wrong, what safety issues have been broken, and try to come up with a plan to reduce speed limits, post signage, do whatever it takes to reduce and make it more effective and safe out there for everybody else. The same applies to the public waterways of the Merrimack River in these why not put speed-sensitive areas? As an experienced boater, you have to obey all the, and I'm shocked to hear that people are running through wake zones. I mean, I'd be thrown in jail if I ever did that in other areas. So I'm real confused with what I'm hearing tonight. Why not put headway-only signs on that side, that's sensitive areas, respectfully? I feel like I'm one of the most courteous boaters. Every time I see a boat, a scull, any non-powered vehicle, I go down to headway speed, period, end of story. And I see other boaters, not just personal watercrafts, I see other boaters almost swamp them. Paddle boards, for instance. You can't even go over 3 miles an hour. You'll swamp the paddle board. People should respect that. And this state, I'm just going on the cuff here now, I have in my possession here a license for the state of New Hampshire, which requires all boaters to be licensed. Massachusetts, in regards to personal watercraft, under age 18, up to age 18 after, you don't have to get a license. Why? The confusion here is a lot of people borrow someone's jet ski, they don't know what they're doing. As mentioned, there's huge power on these machines, they're specialized craft, but they don't have to be used fast. They don't have to go fast. They can go slow. There was a statement about the noise. At curb idle, headway speed, which is 6 miles or less, or definition underneath, as slow as you can go with forward thrust, they operate. So, I mean, everybody needs to know this. In requiring license, another thing would be if Massachusetts required the licensing, I feel this would put a damper on all this monkeying around stuff. It would give law enforcement able to enforce everything even more than they're doing. In my area, they're all doing a great job, but you can't be everywhere at once. I mean, something's going to happen. Even if laws are put in place to stop this from going on, something will happen. Hopefully not. But the thing is, don't punish everybody, licensed or unlicensed in Massachusetts, for experienced boaters. And in closing, I stand here with a real heavy heart for all the affected people with these tragedies. It sickened me from what I heard happen. Whatever happened, legally, illegal, it doesn't matter. It was loss of life, and it's tragic. The thing is, why you're going to put all boaters, take a group of people for a small amount of people and put all of us boaters, personal watercraft operators, that we're all the bad guys, because we're not. And that's why I'm against this. And I hope that the Merrimack will stay open to be able to safely navigate the use of the public waters without restricted access and denying one class of boaters. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak in opposition?
I had to write my speech down, so I don't forget it.
Name and address, please.
Hi, my name's Daniel Goyette. I am a lifetime resident of Lowell, and my wife and I own a jet ski, as well as my son Shane. I am here tonight, like many other jet ski owners and riders, to ask that you do not put any new restrictions or bans on the river or on the jet ski riders. All we are asking for is that you enforce laws that are already on the books. Because of the recent and preventable tragedies that have happened, I do not believe punishing everyone else is the answer to the problem. Enforcing the laws will give everyone a chance to enjoy the river for many more years to come. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak in opposition? In opposition, in opposition, opposition. Hearing none, we'll close the hearing and open it up to the City Council. With your pleasure. Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy that I was one of 3 city councilors that did bring forth the concern of 2 people succumbing to tragedies on the Merrimack River. I go back a long way with the Merrimack River, having grown up as a young child. Family members had boats, and we picnicked on the by the Rin boathouse. We had a wonderful time. I learned how to maneuver a motorboat. I knew how to water ski. I knew along the river where the different they had buoys in the water to show where the rocks were, so that you would be careful if you were skiing in that area. You wouldn't put the boat, you could maneuver around it, and it made it a safe passage. So I've always grown up loving the Merrimack River and enjoying it immensely. I didn't have a way to go vacationing here, there, or everywhere, but that to me was my life. It was my vacation. It was an amenity that many, many people enjoyed, and it still is today. People love the river. They love to boat. And they like to do the jet skis, and they do different things, but there are people that destroy and ruin it for everybody else. The people that came to the podium, you are not the people that we're talking about. You are probably the people that do the right thing. You follow the rules. You don't create the wakes. But there are people that we have to put laws in effect because they don't listen. They don't care. It's all about them and their enjoyment. I have to be a person that is concerned for a rowing team that is going along, minding their business, trying to set a goal, and then they're jeopardized by a hoodlum that wants to create wakes and do stunts. This isn't fair. So instead of banning it completely, we're separating it. We're creating a rule here that says we're not going to ban you altogether, but we're going to separate you and see if that's possible, that we could all enjoy a river, but you're going to do your stuff up there. We're going to do it down here. We're not going to create wakes for the bathers that are swimming at the bathhouse, at the Bellegarde boathouse. We're not going to do anything like that. We're not going to hurt people. It's all about safety, and that's what we're doing here tonight. I do support this ordinance. I think it's a wonderful ordinance. I think everybody's right when they say enforcement, enforcement. That's what it's all about. We don't want to hurt people. We know that it costs a lot to get a jet ski. You're obeying the rules. You're enjoying it. You're not the people we're targeting, but we have to create rules for people that are not. Having said that, I'm also concerned, and I know that this ordinance is an amendment to the ordinance. The original ordinance, I wanted to know through you, Mr. Mayor, through to the city solicitor, if the original ordinance specifies any time of use. I cannot, for the sake of me seeing people on a jet ski after the sun goes down and it's pitch black and they're out there in the riverway. I don't understand that. I would not, like the gentleman said, drive my car on a highway without the lights on. But they're doing it on a river. And I just want to know, I was concerned about a timeline. And when I say time, I don't mean from 7 in the morning, you can do that till 8 o'clock at night. I can't say it like that because in the summer, the sun is out a lot later. So I would say sunrise to sunset, that you could be on the river. After sunset, you should be off. If you're a jet ski, we could specify watercrafts. And again, I'm doing this for public safety. If it could save lives, that's what we're here for. I don't want to hurt people. I want people to enjoy themselves. You are the people that we're not concerned about causing trouble. We're concerned about the people tomorrow that are going to go on the river and hurt people because they want a good time and they're half lit. We need to enforce these rules. That's all we're asking, but I am supporting this ordinance. It's a start. We need to separate for the people that are going to violate the rules. And some of you are hurt by it, but that's what it's all about. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Councilor. Do we have a motion to approve? Motion approved by Councilor Milonazo, second by Councilor Mercia. Further discussion, Councilor Samaras?
Thank you. I really wish we knew where some of the people who are speaking came from. But, you know, when we're talking about what we have to do, this is a very small area of the river. And we had, you know, the director of athletics from the University of Lowell, and also our high school students are also in that river rowing. If you look at what the possibilities of problems can be, it's just not an area that jet skis should be allowed. 2 days ago, I had to go up towards that area. I was coming down, and while I looked into the river, there were 2 jet skiers. They were coming at each other at a very high speed, as far as I was concerned. And they were just almost like jet airplanes trying to miss each other and, you know, jump over the waves that they would create. That area of the river is not a place for that type of equipment. So I strongly support this measure. It's something that we have to do and should do. I can understand the angst of some of the people who do this as a hobby and do follow the rules. But even following the rules, this is just not an area that it may be good for a jet ski. The water is calm, it's a decent area, but it's an area with all kinds of rowboats and sailboats. So I support this motion, and it's the right thing to do.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion, Councilor Elliott?
Yeah, I agree with all the other comments that have been stated. I'm going to support this for a couple of reasons. Certainly the 2 fatalities that took place this past summer. We just can't sit back and wait for something else to happen. Enforcing is, we're going to have to enforce it anyway. And I just want to let the people know at home, this is not the entire river. This is just this one section where there are boaters, there are swimmers, there are multiple use of this particular basin. From the Rock Bridge north all the way, they can go all the way to Nashua. Jet skiers have the ability to use the river. So, you know, it's the high-speed nature of these watercrafts that clearly contribute to the safety issue. The other thing was mentioned, you know, and this is what we can do within our purview. You know, there's no license required in Massachusetts. In New Hampshire, there is. I have one, and that's a problem, particularly for the younger or any inexperienced boater. We had a speaker talking about headway speed. I know what that is because I took a boating course. No one else does. So I think this is what we have to do. We can't enforce 24/7. We don't have the resources. The state will dedicate some, but it's a temporary measure, which is what has led us to this problem. So I am going to support it. I think it does make sense for this particular section of the river, and to protect the public safety of and the balance. And it's a fairness issue for those individuals that want to swim and boat and sail and kayak. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Leary?
Just quickly, I'm going to support it as well, but there's some good points made here tonight. And the biggest point I think to be made is that we're talking from the Rourke Bridge to the falls. which is really a narrower area. It's a congested area. You got swimmers. It's an area where most of the population is using the river, if you include the swimmers and the recreational folks that are there picnicking, what have you. Two good points. I think Councilor Elliott hit on them. One, licensing. I think it's something that it's not this meeting, but the next meeting, we should be putting a request to the state delegation to take a look at that in terms of training and education. You know, you can drive a car or a truck, you have to have a license. These are machines. You know, a lot of folks that came up today have a lot of respect for the equipment that they're driving, the machines that they're driving. They take it seriously. They know the rules. There's other folks that just don't know it, and frankly, some don't care. So we need to really take a look at that. Another point, too, is we do have other boat traffic coming through. We need to take a look at making sure we have the right navigational aids that are up. We need to be able to police the river better than we're doing and take a look at talking to the state, talking to the environmental police in terms of getting access. Just eliminating these machines are not going to prohibit other issues from from occurring. So we need to get better at that. I think this is needed. It is a congested river. We don't have the resources right now. We do need to go out and get the resources because we do have other boats that are coming through. We should be reaching out in multiple avenues in terms of the licensure and the education. Eliminating this now is going to make an improvement. They can use it north of the Rourke River, but that might become an issue as well. I mean, you're still having boat traffic up there that's not having enforcement. They should be following the laws north of the Rourke River as well. That's something that I think we need to reach out. We're going to have more use of the Merrimack River because it is a jewel. It's an area where people want to use and they should have a right to use. So I will support this, but this is only one step going forward in a positive way. We have a lot of other steps, and I'll bring it up myself at the next meeting in terms of reaching out to the state delegation about licensure and about having navigational aids and actually getting more environmental police here in Lowell. We're the fourth biggest city. I know Boston's big and it has all the dynamic and everybody follows it, but we need some resources here as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do want to thank all the speakers from coming down this evening on this very important topic to a lot of people here in the city. But there has been 2 fatalities in the Merrimack River this season, and this council is going to act. Now, what I've seen and heard up there is complete lawlessness. It appears that our waterways have become a magnet for out-of-town users to come use and abuse our waterways. With the exception, I understand we had a speaker within the city's boundaries here tonight, and that is good to see. But the very high majority are from out of town to come in here and just have fun and cause ruckus on our waterways and affect all of our partners in the city that we value very highly. UMass Lowell has been affected. The national parks has been affected. Our aquatics manager spoke. The kids on the Rin Beach have been affected. And the swimmers on the beach at the same time. That is all I need to hear. Okay, enough is enough. This stuff stops now. So I'm going to support this ordinance tonight. It is unfortunate that it has come to this, but we are unable to policing it. Enforcement can be an issue. I understand that. But, Mr. Mayor, through you to Superintendent Taylor, I understand Sergeant Pappas is the harbor master, but, Chief, do we own a harbor master watercraft? It's my understanding that we partner up with the Chelmsford watercraft, but we don't have one of our own. Is that accurate?
That is correct, Councilor. We currently borrow a boat from the Sheriff's Department in Middlesex County. Unfortunately, on a yearly basis, that boat is committed to the Charles River in Cambridge during the 4th of July festivities, so we get it a few days after that. And then we use it. We also do other, in addition to our own patrols on the river, which we do periodically, especially on the weekends. However, as you indicated, when we do that, we have to take resources from other patrol activities in the city.
That is correct.
So that's the problem. But we do also partner up with the environmental police on a cooperative basis where we'll actually put a Lowell police officer on one of their boats. And then on occasion, over the past couple of years, we also have done similar things with the Chelmsford Police Department. They have a boat. When they have the availability of an officer, we'll put an officer on one of their boats from time to time. But it's a big commitment. It requires a lot of manpower and resources, and it can only be done, periodically.
It really is, Chief. I agree with you 100%. I am an elected official who stands by law enforcement 100%. So I'm going to support this ordinance tonight for obvious reasons. As you can see, the chief stated this fatality, Lowell fatality, occurred when the Chelmsford boat that we rely heavily on was taken out of service into a neighboring community. And sure enough, the worst happened. So we are unable to police this properly, in my opinion. So with that being said, I am going to support this ordinance tonight in the name of those families who have suffered losses this summer and to ensure there's no more in the future. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Council Leahy.
Thank you. Through you to the manager or the solicitor. So in the ordinance, though, are we talking about just the stretch from the boathouse up, or are we talking everywhere? Because it looks to me like in the ordinance, it says all river in Lowell, so that means down by Duck Island?
No, if you look at the ordinance, it's defined as from the Rourke Bridge south to the Pawtucket Falls.
Okay, because it says definitions, Merrimack River waterway, which means stretch of Merrimack River within the city boundaries. So is that's just a definition we're saying, that's not really?
That's just a definition of what the Merrimack River is, but then it reduces it to where the ban will take place south from the Rourke Bridge down to the Pawtucket Falls. And that's included.
All right, so it is basically just from the,
Yeah, from the Rourke Bridge down to the Pawtucket Falls.
all right, okay. Because I mean, honestly, my gut says that, we don't want to punish everybody for the sake of a few, but where it's only a certain section, and it is overcrowded with the beach and UMass Lowell High School kids using it, so I will support it, but I appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Milonazo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too will support the ordinance. I do have a question, though, if I could, either through the manager or to the superintendent of police. Under 285-4, it talks about enforcement. It talks about the Lowell Police, the Lowell Fire Department. We obviously have other partners that were here this evening speaking in favor. Are you comfortable that the partnerships that you have with UMass Lowell Police Department, with the National Park Service Police Department, with others, that the Environmental Police Department, that they'll be able to enforce this ordinance as written, or do we need to strengthen that section of the ordinance to make sure that it's clearly defined that the Lowell Police Department's not going to be out there 24/7, but others in partnership with us can be out there? So I just want to make sure that you're comfortable with the way the enforcement language is written.
I am, Counselor. I think that the two principal organizations that enforce the waterway are the Lowell Police Department, the Environmental Police, to a lesser extent, the Chelmsford Police when we're working together, and likewise. We're all covered because the Environmental Police have essentially state police powers, so every state police officer that's on duty in the city of Lowell will have the ability to enforce our local ordinances. And then likewise, when we work collectively with the town of Chelmsford, they would essentially have the same powers as Lowell police officers while they're on duty in the city.
Okay, thank you. And then just to follow up, if I could, Mr. Mayor, on a comment made by Council Leary about bringing in additional motions relative to licensure. If you recall, we did have a motion that passed going to the state delegation about compulsory insurance. So maybe if we can include that to make sure that when we work with the state delegation, that not only the licensure, but the compulsory insurance is included as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Council Belanger.
Yes.
Council Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes.
Council Leahy.
Yes.
Council Leary.
Yes.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Council Milonazo.
Yes.
Council Rourke.
Yes.
Council Samara.
Yes.
9 yeas.
The next public hearing is an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances in the City of Lowell, Massachusetts with respect to Chapter 222, Article 2, by adding a new section 222-18 entitled Pub Crawls. The Chair will open up the hearing for the proponents. Is there anybody who wishes to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? In favor. Hearing none. Close the hearing on behalf of the proponents and open up for those who wish to speak in opposition. Is there anybody who wishes to speak in opposition? Opposition, opposition, opposition. Hearing none. Close the hearing and open up to the City Council. Do we have a motion?
In favor. Could we just Could we let the chief speak in favor? Did you want to speak in favor? Okay. That's all right.
My apologies, through you to City Council, through you to the mayor. I'd like to speak in favor of the pub crawl ordinance. I think that this particular ordinance will allow the city to exercise some control over these pub crawls that occur mostly in the downtown section of the city. And through doing that, it will reduce the risk of public health and public safety in the city. I think we know that from the ordinance that the pub crawls are defined as a group of establishments participating in a promotion of events featuring the sale of alcoholic beverages to one or more establishment or location. I think the key is there's two keys to this. It's accountability. The proposed ordinance would require an organizer for the purpose of organizing, controlling, and advertising an event. So that the ability of the ordinance to attach a organizer to one of these events gives the police department, and through us to the License Commission, somebody that we can hold accountable for infractions of this offense. A second key is notice. Currently, we most often experience problems when we don't know in advance about a particular pub crawl. This particular ordinance will require a 30-day advance notice by the organizer to seek out a license from the License Commission. That is ample time for the Police Department and the License Commission to do our due diligence into the circumstances around it, make sure that there's a security plan, an operational plan. We can also estimate the number of participants in the pub crawl. And so I think for those reasons, I very much support this. I think it'll increase public safety, especially in the downtown area.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve? Motion approved by Council Mercy, seconded by Council Rourke. Discussion on the motion, Council Mercy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have one question. To license, is there a charge for the license to register for the pub crawl? Is there a fee or anything connected with that? Because I didn't think so.
Not that I'm aware of, Councilor.
It's just you want to know that this
Right.
is happening, and what establishments are they going to?
That's right.
And that's only fair. It's the right thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Council Milonazo.
Thank you. Just a question. I plan to support the ordinance, but just a question where we talk about on page 2, the coordinator, a person over the age of 21 stationed at a particular licensed establishment participating in a pub crawl event. Can the coordinator be drinking? I mean, you have a designated driver. You know, can the coordinator actually be drinking while they're coordinating the pub crawl event?
Well, when we use the term coordinator here for a particular pub, we're talking about an employee of the pub that will be answerable for the actions that occur inside their establishment.
Okay, I read it that it was the
Yeah, no,
coordinator
no,
of
it's-
whoever was.
No, but it's a good point.
Yeah.
We maybe should be a little more strict construction of it, at least have the wording so it shows that they have to be an employee of the pub.
Okay.
And have to comply with all of a manager of a club.
Okay. Again, I thought it was the person that, you know, we have a number of fundraising events where
Right.
they do pub crawls, so I thought a person had to be as part of the fundraising committee, if you will.
Yeah.
A coordinator at the establishment, but, okay.
Well, we
That's
can
fine.
change, I think, no, it's a good point. I think we can make the language more clear that we're intending it to be an employee and they have to abide by the same rules that a manager of a
Right.
club complies with. We can
Okay.
make that amendment.
Okay, thank you.
Did you want to make that amendment, Council?
Sure, I'll put that in the form of a motion.
All right, so the amendment is that it should be the, what do they
The
call it?
coordinator.
The coordinator shall be an employee of the drinking establishment in which they're visiting. Second by Council Mercy. Discussion on the amendment. All in favor of the amendment, all opposed, so voted. Council Samaras.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. Chief, the chief there. A question I have, I think Council Milonazo brought up an interesting point. Like the coordinator of the pub crawl, would he or she not drink? It's, the way I look at it, it's almost like a designated driver. And the thing is, in some of these pub crawls, they may hit 5 places, correct? 4 to 5 places, would you say?
Yes, that's true.
Okay. That's 4 to 5 drinks. Now, depending what you're drinking, it could mean something. should there be an indication of if there's a coordinator who is not drinking, but suspects that someone is, we'll say, gone beyond his or her limit, that they be given a breathalyzer? In other words, have the coordinator, and I'm talking about safety, in other words, about should they be told they have to have a ride home, not, those are the things that, bother me.
I think the point that we were making is we got to explain better what we mean by coordinator. The coordinator is an employee of each pub that they're going to go to. And that person is going to be designated as the contact person that if something happens at that club, that's the person that's going to be responsible for answering to us if something happens. It's not going to be somebody that's participating in the pub crawl.
But isn't there a coordinator of the pub crawl?
That's the organizer.
The organizer?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, it's like the designated driver. Because, when you're talking about the person responsible in each business, they're gonna have to be cognizant of everybody coming through the door, how are they gonna be able to evaluate them, as well as someone who's with them the entire crawl? I'm just suggesting that if we're gonna deal with this, we should look at it every way possible.
Are you all set, Counsel?
Yeah.
Counsel Rowe?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So my understanding is, the motion that Councilman Maldonado just made, is that the coordinator that works at the establishment, if something goes wrong, if someone goes into the place, regardless of a pub crawl or not, if someone's served that's under the influence, they're going before the city anyways. So this procedure is already in place technically anyways, right? And if you have a pub crawl that has 4 or 5 events, 4 or 5 different stops, you have groups going different spots at one time. So the organizer is the person that would just basically runs the show, and that's one person, and that's the person that you would hold responsible as far as the pub crawl goes. And the coordinator is the person that, at each individual restaurant. Does that sound right?
That's exactly correct.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
I think we just need to make that terminology clearer.
I was just going to say, Counselor, every licensed establishment in the city that serves alcohol and has a license has to have a manager of record, and that manager is responsible for the activity and the behavior of that establishment, whether they're there or not.
Councilor Samaras.
I just want to go back to, I'd actually like to have the chief think about this, about the actual, in other words, the coordinator of the group. I'll still use the term designated driver. We talk about that. If you're going to go out drinking, there's always who's the person who's going to be the designated driver for that night. It's a safety issue. So I'm saying this is going the extra step. And Chief Taylor, maybe you can look at this as, should this be a possibility down the road? That's what I'm asking for.
So as I understand the ordinance, the person that organizes the pub crawl is not necessarily an employee of each establishment, right? But each establishment has to designate somebody that's a coordinator just for the activity on that establishment.
I understand.
So that would be, I think, de facto a employee of that establishment.
But it's still not monitoring the group, going from pub to pub.
Chief, I think what Councilor Samaras is asking is not to change the wording of the ordinance this evening, but that you would take his suggestion under consideration for maybe some future time or some future action by the city council. Sure. If it was appropriate to do so.
Sure, certainly, yes.
Is that it? Yep. Councilor Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate the chief speaking on this, and the chief has come before us and asked for assistance on this issue, and I'm going to support him. But I do have a concern that, I've been in the trenches here. I know what these establishment owners are up against from time to time. And my concern is that, a lot of these pub crawls are run right. Many of them for charities, and they're run very properly. And they help out different local organizations. So what exactly are the hurdles? I see we have Elliot here from the law department. What exactly the hurdles are we putting on an organizer? I understand, I like the fact that we're pointing the finger at each establishment owner and saying somebody has to be assigned to this crawl, and they'll be the point person. I'm okay with that. I think that's great. But at the flip side, I don't want to discourage organizations coming downtown, pub to pub, spending money. And on another note, having an organizer say, you know what, I'm not going to do this. I don't want to incur all this liability. So, you know, I'm all for the safety. Again, I'm going to support the ordinance, but I do not want to discourage people coming into downtown and organizers performing such crawls for different charities. I mean, you know, the one that UMass Lowell does, it's a senior bar crawl, and it's an absolute zoo. There's no two ways about it. That's the one that needs to be cracked down on. But I just don't want to hurt those others that are run properly and help establishments, because they do rely on this stuff, Mr. Manager, and I'm very concerned for them. So what are we doing to convey to the establishment owners, number one, that, you know, this is a new ordinance, and when you hear of a bar crawl, you have to let us know. So how are we going about this?
Basically, all we're asking pub crawls to do, as it resulted from that pub crawl.
Yes.
Which was organized online, over the internet.
Yeah.
We didn't know who the people were. We didn't know how to get in touch with them. All we're asking, if you're going to have a pub crawl, is that you apply for a license with the License Commission. There's no fee.
Okay.
You apply for the license with the License Commission. You just tell us who you are as the organizer, your contact information, and then you list what pubs are going to be utilized and who the contact person is at that particular pub.
Okay, that's fair enough, because that solves another issue, which is, gets into occupancy, where if it's a large bar crawl, it has to be broken up into smaller groups where they can split up and do a rotating band, if you will, to hit all different establishments. But okay, I like what we're accomplishing here. I appreciate the motion, and, you know, we all want safety, but I don't want to discourage people from coming downtown supporting our establishments, Mr. Mayor. So I think this is great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Counselor. Any further discussion on the motion as amended? Roll call.
Council Bland?
Yes.
Council Elliott?
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy?
Yes.
Council Leahy?
Yes.
Council Leary?
Yes.
Council Mercia?
Yes.
Council Milonazo?
Yes.
Council Rourke?
Yes.
Council Samaras?
Yes.
9 yeas.
Next, we have a communication from the city manager requesting out-of-state travel for 2 members of the Lowell Police Department. Do we have a motion to approve? Motion approved by Council Leary, seconded by Council Milonazo. Discussion, roll call.
Council Belanger?
Yes.
Council Elliott?
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy?
Yes.
Council Leahy?
Yes.
Council Leary?
Yes.
Council Mercia?
Yes.
Council Milonazo?
Yes.
Council Rourke?
Yes.
Council Samaras? 8 yeas.
Next, we have a vote to apply, accept, and expend the amount of $49,256 for the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant. If there's no objection, we'll waive the full first reading and go to the second reading, which is authorizing the city manager to apply, accept, and expend funds from the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant Grant Program for our fiscal year 2017 in the amount of $49,256. Do we have a motion approved by Council Leary, second by Council Belanger? Discussion on the motion, roll call.
Council Belanger?
Yes.
Council Elliott?
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy?
Yes.
Council Leahy?
Yes.
Council Leary?
Yes.
Council Mercia?
Yes.
Council Milonazo? Council Rourke?
Yes.
Council Samaras?
Yes.
8 yeas.
Next, we have a vote to approve a TIF agreement with the Plenus Group at 101 Phoenix Avenue in Lowell. If there's no objection, we'll waive the full first reading and go to the second reading, approving certified project application for Plenus Group Incorporated and authorizing a tax increment financing agreement. Do we have a motion to approve? Motion approved by Council Leary, second by Council Milonazo. Discussion on the motion, roll call.
Council Belanger?
Yes.
Council Elliott?
Yes.
Kennedy?
Yes.
Council Leahy?
Yes.
Council Leary?
Yes.
Council Mercia?
Yes.
Council Milonazo?
Yes.
Council Rourke?
Yes.
Council Samaras?
Yes.
9 yeas.
Mr. Mayor? Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, could you have could the manager elaborate on this a little bit? This is a very good story here of a business not only retaining in Lowell, but doubling its size, and it's a very, very affluent, popular business.
You mean a Boston chowder?
I love it, so to speak.
Yeah.
The chili's not bad either. First of all, I want to thank Allison Lammy and Maria Dickinson for the great work they did on this. This is Boston Chowder. They are in desperate need of expanding their operations, and they were seriously considering moving out of Lowell until we were able to convince them through Allison and Maria that with this tax increment financing agreement that they would purchase the building that they now are located in. And they will invest over $4 million to expand that operation. And in turn, they employ about 50 people, 50 employees right now, and they're going to add 30 employees to the rosters. So again, we have our clawback procedures. They're going to have to report to us what they're doing, and if they don't meet those job requirements, then they're going to have to reimburse us for the tax break that we gave them. So all in all, I think it's a great, great opportunity, and I thank the work of Allison and Maria for keeping them here in Lowell.
Council Blanchard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Manager. That's a great story, one that has to be told. Boston Chowder's been in the city for nearly 20 years now, and they have grown immensely. Their chowders and soups are in many restaurants and stores in the region. It's a great facility. To see them expanding and the city of Lowell retaining that enterprise is very, very exciting to me. And to let all the viewers at home know, they also have a walk-in showroom where you can buy soups and chilies and all sorts of prepared foods. I got Customer of the Month last month myself. It is absolutely delicious. So I commend all you involved in retaining this business and keeping this in the city. It's great, great news. So I wanted that story to be told, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Congratulations on
I mean, spilling soup on his
Customer of
vest.
the Month. Roll call. Oh, already done. All right, I'm sorry. Next is a vote approving the amendment to the Housing Development Zone Plan for the City of Lowell. If there's no objection, we'll waive the full first reading and go to the second reading. Approving the amendment to the Housing Development Zone Plan for the City of Lowell. Do we have a motion to approve? Motion approved by Council Rourke, seconded by Council Milonazo. Discussion on the motion. Roll call.
Council Belanger.
Yes.
Council Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes.
Council Leahy. Council Leary.
Yes.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Council Milonazo.
Yes.
Council Rourke.
Yes.
Council Samaras.
Yes.
8 yeas.
Next, we have a vote authorizing the city manager to execute a purchase agreement with the Wind Development Company Limited Partnership for parcels 8 and 9 at the Hamilton Canal Innovation District. If there's no objection, we'll waive the full first reading and go to the second reading, authorizing the city manager to execute a purchase agreement with the Wind Development Company Limited Partnership or its designee having a principal place of business at 6 Faneuil Hall Marketplace, Boston, Mass., to acquire the land located at 193 Jackson Street in Lowell, Mass., known as Parcel 8, and the land at 239 Jackson Street, known as Parcel 9, for the transfer of both parcels and to consummate the sale of said properties with the city of Lowell.
Mr. Mayor, before we do that, could we, I know that there's a subcommittee meeting on that. Could we have Council Samaras give the review first before we do this?
Yeah, absolutely. If there's no objection, we'll take the subcommittee report up at the same time. Council Samaras.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. Actually, what I'd like to do, tonight, the Subcommittee on Economic Development was treated with a great presentation from Wind Development on their expected use of parcels 8 and 9. And they talked about mixed housing and commercial development. So rather than give my rendition of what I heard, I'd like to ask Vice President O'Brien to come up to the phone and talk about what the plans are for wind development. Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to the council, we're delighted to be before this council after a great deal of work with the city manager and the administration to be proposing residential development on parcels 8 and 9 within the Hamilton Canal Innovation District. We had a robust conversation at the subcommittee level about the nature and extent of our proposal. I know that packets were left on all of the councilors' desks for your detailed review of our proposal. We obviously have a great belief in Lowell. We have an amazing working relationship of respect and shared goals and mission. And we see this investment as being one more of many that we've made here for obvious reasons. It's a great place to do business. It's a desired location for people to live and want to be part of Lowell. And we're happy to have this being added to our portfolio. here in Lowell. In essence, we propose on those two parcels to build 135 apartment units, two separate buildings. They'll be separate but unified as far as a residential community is concerned. We expect it, as always, with win-win, to be a high-quality, first-class construction with all of the expected amenities and activities that residents will desire. It'll be a market rate and middle-income property as far as those that will be residents. It'll be 7 stories, plus or minus. 70 feet is the limit in the Hamilton Canal Uniform Code. We'll do it sustainable, green construction. Through negotiating with the city manager and his team, we'll include 10,000 square feet of commercial retail in the one or the other, parcel 8 or parcel 9. We look to, and we're evaluating this, to provide a connection to our Loft 27 from that courtyard as well, being the owner of Loft 27. And the renderings in your packages are there for kind of examples. We've got quite a bit of work to do to get to what will ultimately be the final product, and that'll be a transparent process working with the manager and his team. And part of the requirement within the purchase and sale is that they get final say over our design and exterior. So just to give you some perspective, we expect 66 of those bedroom units to be 1-bedroom and 69 units to be 2-bedroom units. There'll be 27 market units, 81 middle-income units, and what that basically means is that 81 units will have up to 100% area median income. So $53,000 currently for a 1-bedroom would be the income limit, and then $87,000 would be for the 2-bedroom, and that would be the cap. So if you were making more than that, you wouldn't be eligible to be able to rent those units. And we'll have 24 affordable units, which would be 50% AMI. So that'd be an earnings of approximately $36,000 for a 1-bedroom and $44,000 for a 2-bedroom. The middle income program that's put forth by Mass Housing and the collaboration they have with the Commonwealth's Department of Housing and Community Development require an 80-20 mix, 80% middle income and market and 20% affordable. So you can see that we are working hard to make sure we meet those regulatory requirements and otherwise, and then ultimately be able to see this project become a reality. We're excited about the project. We're excited about working together with the City of Lowell. We appreciate the council's support very much so, and we look forward to the road ahead. We'll need your support and the state delegation's support to make this project a reality. For we'll be working with the state on some of the incentives and some of the grants and tax credits to make the project viable. So we look forward to the future, and we look forward to an affirmative vote, hopefully, this evening from the council, and we're pleased to be part of this community and pleased to be part of progress here in Lowell.
Mr. O'Brien, could you give the completion date of the expected completion date?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to the councilor, we expect, if all things go according to plan, that we'll be in a position for the fall of 2018 or early winter of 2019 to be coming out of the ground with this project in this community.
I just, as the chairman of the Subcommittee on Economic Development, I want to commend the city manager and Wind Development and Mr. O'Brien and former Senator Steve Panagiotakis, because this was a good plan put together. Originally, there was no plan to put in commercial space, but I believe they understood it was the will of the city council to ensure that we had some commercial space put in there. And we know it's going to be of great use. And when you talked about the middle income people that will have the advantage to seek these residents, they have been in the past almost a forgotten group of people. We either talk about market rate or below market rate, but these people here, what's the income that they fit into?
As I detailed, sir, the middle income for a 1-bedroom, I believe, was a cap, $53,000 of income to be eligible to live in those units. and for a two-bedroom was $87,000 as a cap for income. And just for the knowledge of the council and the community, income certification happens on an annual basis, and so those are checked through regulation, allows certain sources, bank statements, W-2s and other, that have to be checked to verify that they actually are making below that in order to be eligible. So it's done and it's regulated and audited, so we're very serious about
When you
making sure
talk
that
about
happens.
these people, who are these people in general who
They're-
make up the middle class?
They're members of the Lowell community. They are everything from city employees to practitioners, to school teachers. And you could think of really the fabric of a community would be in this category.
Thank you. I mean, that's an important statement. But, Mr. Manager, I want to thank you for this project. I think the subcommittee really was pleased with the presentation, and it meets our needs at this present time. Thank you for the work. Thank you, Mr. O'Brien.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Leary, then Counselor Elliott.
Okay, yeah, just to echo what Mr. O'Brien was saying, essentially what we've done is we're bringing in 10,000 square foot of commercial space, which I think is a great compromise. When we initially started, we're talking just about having residential. And I think this combination, this compromise, will benefit, I think, Wynn, and also will benefit the city. The dynamic you have that's different from many years ago is you have now a base of a floor, if you will, of $50,000 as an income, as a round number, and then up to $87,000 and change as a high number. That's really your initial working class folks that are coming in and will be living there, that have some income that they can utilize and spend in the downtown. And that's exactly what we're really looking for. It also has a decent element of market rate housing. The challenge now is it's a seller's market for housing. It's tough to even rent something. I think getting folks who can afford with some disposable income is exactly what we've all been talking about for year after year after year. The commercial space, when you're talking about what as folks are seeing in the Innovation District, the courthouse going up, like as you said earlier, Mr. Manager, going from 5 stories to 7 stories quite quickly, 1,000 to 1,500 people are going to be in the area. We're going to need restaurants. We're going to need different areas for people to utilize. I think this is exactly what we're looking at. We've heard councilors talk about we want to be like Assembly Square or Kenmore Square or the Seaport District in Boston, or a miniature version of that. And this is exactly what we've been talking about, and it's starting to come to fruition. To epitome the whole area, you're looking at really the administration and your staff working have done about a third of really developing the Innovation District. The other part of it is going to be a parking garage, and then another third, we don't even have the infrastructure yet. And that infrastructure is coming in terms of the Mass Works grant. Once that's in place, when you get a master developer, this is really going to be a highlighted area that's going to bring jobs to the city of Lowell. This component with the residential is really positive because it's no longer it's not going to be a ghost town at night. You're going to have a vibrant community the entire day, which I think is an excellent thing for the city, and I think going forward will be beneficial to the entire community. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any further discussion? Counselor Elliott?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So it was a couple of months ago, Mr. Manager, that I brought this motion forward to have you meet with Wind Development again and take a second look at this project, because I felt at that time, as I continue to feel now, that these are two real parcels, and this is a real project that we can put into the pipeline, which we haven't done in years. There's little to no activity in that district. We've held many planning sessions, and there are good plans on the table. We've gone out for master developers. But here's real projects that are going to breathe life back into that Hamilton Canal, and I think we'll jumpstart it. So I'm pleased that Wind Development has done very good projects in the city. They've been a good corporate, we have good corporate relationships with them. They brought jobs here, and if we know anything about urban revitalization in the 21st century, we need to bring residents, people back into the downtown. They will sustain the downtown. And this is market rate. This is what we want, and it's a better project because it has the commercial piece that we are looking for. So I think this is this is good news, and I'm pleased to see this project back in the back in the fold, and We're going to move forward. As you mentioned, you got to put projects in the pipeline now because they do take time. We're talking about breaking ground in 2018. So, and I know there are some others in the process, but we look forward to breaking ground and getting some development going in that district. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Mercia, then Councilor Leahy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As this project came before us in the beginning, and we didn't really, we were not amenable to it, and you took it off the table, and I'm glad that you came back. I'm glad that you gave us a second chance, and we're entertaining this now, because I think you came back with a better plan, a better proposal. And when I see retail commercial on the first floor, that makes it even better. And when I look at the proximity to the courthouse and I say, wow, wouldn't some of that retail space be good for lawyers' offices? Then I heard that the courthouse does not have a food court. And I'm thinking, oh, if only I could cook and had the money, I would, boy, would be a gold mine for the people that didn't bring a lunch and going down the street. So it's a possible gold mine, and I'm just so happy that this will be exciting and an innovative idea and a good partnership. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Leahy.
Thank you. I just want to say that, this is a great project. I'm excited about it, and I'm glad that it's back on the table. But again, I just want to emphasize that they've got such a great thing going over there with mill number 5. This is going to enhance, this is going to work well with what they've got going over there. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but you should go down there. We're down there every weekend, and the shops, the food, the people, it's just a great thing, and this project is going to work well with that. So there's plenty of people that are interested in moving to Lowell. This is going to be one step closer for them to get here. So thank you.
Councilor Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I, for one, have been one of the most vocal proponents of not having housing in the Hamilton Canal Innovation District. I have spoken pretty loudly and strongly. But wind development, and originally I did not support the project as proposed. But wind development has came forth through negotiations with the manager and substantially changed the project, as Councilor Mercia alluded to. So what is included this time around is approximately 10,000 square foot of retail commercial on the first floor, which most certainly fits the bill in the Hamilton Canal Innovation District. And the tax credits in the project that they are seeking involves a very good income level of residents that will be there, where it'll be low to medium to high income levels, which will result in disposable income for those businesses that we are looking to attract in the district. Where low income doesn't necessarily mean subsidized, it will mean making $30,000 to $40,000 a year. And those individuals that work in the city, whether deserve to have a chance to live downtown as well too. And I think that's a good startup program for them. I've researched the program and what wind development is trying to accomplish, and I think it's great. So I want to commend both the manager and Mr. O'Brien of Wind Development for their commitment to this project, for sitting down for a second time, they're coming forward with something that's a little more palatable to this council. And I want to thank Mr. O'Brien of Wind Development for his commitment to the city of Lowell. They are very vested in the city. They own hundreds and hundreds of units as we speak. They are now based in the city of Lowell, in the Boot Mills. They are fully vested, and they are not going anywhere anytime soon. So I appreciate their commitment to our city and their willingness to negotiate. And the word I'm going to use, I use in the subcommittee, Mr. O'Brien, your favorite, compromise, if you will. And that's what it's all about, to move that district forward, that I may not get what I want all of the time, but I am willing to compromise in this situation. Ideally, I'd like to see a high-rise glass and steel commercial building in those parcels, which now refreshes my memory that Mr. O'Brien brought another point forward at the subcommittee meeting earlier this evening, that these lots have activity use limitations to them due to contamination levels. So they are somewhat restricted on what they can do. And Mr. O'Brien kindly enlightened the subcommittee on that as well, which I was unaware of prior to tonight. So with all that being said, I am now in support of this project. I think it will most certainly jumpstart. Wind Development is a very, very successful company. They are on very good financial, stable ground. The manager has negotiated some very aggressive timelines where we will see shovels in the ground next year. And that is very, very important. So with all that being said, I commend and appreciate everyone's hard work through the manager's administration, Wind Development, DPD officials, to coming to the table, making this work, and convincing me where I didn't think I would be supporting this project, but I am. I am wholeheartedly, and it's one I am now excited about, to be honest with you. So thanks again to everybody involved, to Wind Development and their commitment to our city. I think we're going to end up with what we're looking to accomplish in this district. Things are really taking off there, as the manager alluded to earlier this evening in the State of the City address, where that area is erupting. And Wind Development is going to be part of that, and that's great news to hear. So thank you, Mr. Mayor. I look forward to future updates on this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? I just have 3 questions, I think. When Council Samaras asked you when it would be completed, you said it would come out of the ground in November of 2018, I think. When would it be finished? How long do you think it will take before it's
Mr. Chairman, typically these projects, with acknowledging we may see some unforeseens, take about 18 months to complete and be prepared to lease up and ribbon cut. And I think that's a fair gauge. So if we did late fall, early winter of 2018, early 2019.
Spring of 2020?
Yes, sir.
Someplace around there. Given the unit mix that you have of 1 and 2 bedroom units, if you just assume that there's one car for every 1 bedroom unit and 2 cars for every 2 bedroom unit, then you need 200 parking spaces. So where would you get the 200 parking spaces?
Mr. Chairman, on parking, obviously key to any residential development, we really see 3 potentials. One is that because of the topography, the lay of the land, it's actually a slope on these parcels, that depending on construction pricing and design, we may be able to accommodate roughly 50 or so spaces in the basement of these buildings. That is one option that we're going to pursue, but we're maybe limited by cost. The second potential is that we would look to some of the space on the lot. If you notice, parcel 8 is much wider than parcel 9, and so we may be able to get some surface spots on parcel 8, and that may accommodate 20 or so spots. And then the third piece is we obviously work collaboratively with the city and city administration and look to, as we have in the past, the potential for long-term leases of parking spaces in your public garages. All 3 of those have worked very well for Wind and Wind companies and Wind Development here in Lowell on our previous projects, so we look for the same rhythm going forward.
You would depend on municipal parking garages in order to get by. You don't have the capacity for 200 parking spaces, right? I mean, for this project to work, you need to have space in municipal parking garage space.
Mr. Chairman, that's correct. We'd be looking for that as part of our overall project. Obviously, the amount per space that is paid is market, and it's typically in a rhythm opposite of the business life cycle of downtown, so it's evenings. So as a general rule, it's been complementary to downtown development and garage operations. So we would look for that. That's correct.
Okay. My last question is, you said you were doing 1 building with commercial space on the first floor. Why wouldn't you do 2? Why just 1?
Mr. Chairman,
and I wasn't able to attend the subcommittee meeting, so you maybe went all over this at 5:30. But
No, it's a very, Mr. Chairman, it's a very legitimate question, and I'm glad you asked it. A 10,000 square foot commitment would take up approximately 60% to 70% of one floor on the ground level. We'd have to have the remainder of that floor available for amenity space. When we do kind of the unit counts that we need to make this project work and try to maximize the number of apartments that we have, look at available space and what else our residents in new Lowell residents or existing Lowell residents would want at this premier property, one of the buildings is going to have that first floor dedicated to far beyond just the lobby and elevators. We'll obviously have to have other amenities there to be able to complement the residential life and potential units. So that's the reason why one building would have the 10,000 square foot. And based on the excitement that we've heard tonight and some feedback that we've got from some commercial brokers, that 10,000 square feet in one footprint in one building will be a good offering in the marketplace and something we hope to have great success with. So we'd rather do it in one spot for the reasons as presented.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. Any further discussion? If not, roll call. Oh, we need a motion. Need a motion to approve by Council Rourke, seconded by Council Samaras.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Counsel Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Leary.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Next, we go on to subcommittee reports, and the Economic Development Subcommittee report has already been given, so we're all set with that. For the National Grid, request the installation of a new pole located at 71 Rogers Street. Need a motion to accept and adopt the accompanying order by Council Mercia, seconded by Council Milonazo. Discussion, all in favor, all opposed, so voted. Next, Council.
Just to the point of, I'm just not going to vote, I'm not going to approve these because I don't think they've, last time we have National Grid here about the double poles, they're really not doing anything in the city, so I just count me out on these approvals for them.
Okay, what's before us is just to refer them to public hearing. The vote would be when there's the public
Oh,
hearing.
okay, all right, I can do it then too, but,
You still want to vote against these?
yeah, I still want to vote against them.
Okay.
Thank-
All right, under petitions, we have one property claim. The motion would be to refer to the Law Department for a report and recommendation by Council Leahy, seconded by Council Elliott. Discussion, all in favor, all opposed, so voted. Next, from National Grid, is request the installation of new heavy-duty hand pole located at 239 East Merrimack Street to allow a service upgrade. The motion would be to refer this to a public hearing on October 3rd, 2017 at 7 p.m. by Council Milonazo, seconded by Council Rourke. Roll call.
Roll call.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Counsel Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
No.
Counsel Leary.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia. Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Next is request the installation of a new pole and relocate overhanging wires located at Adams Street at St. Patrick's Church. The motion would be to refer to a public hearing on October 3rd, 2017 at 7 p.m. We have a motion to send it to a public hearing by Council Mercia, seconded by Council Leary. Roll call.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Counsel Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
No.
Counsel Leary.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Next, under council motions, the first motion is by Council Mercia. Request that the City Council vote to approve and remove the utility pole behind St. Patrick's Church and place it across the public way on Adams Street. Seconded by Council Leary. Council Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know previously was sent that previous petition from National Grid to a public hearing, but I did receive a call from Father Cryan from St. Patrick's Church, who asked me if I would place this on the agenda as a motion. Some time ago, they refurbished St. Patrick's Church, and they did a tremendous job with the paint and all the, shoring it up and making it safe, and they did a tremendous job. The only thing that is remaining is a particular stained glass window that is, every time it rains, the water just comes through, and it's just not 100% completed. And the reason they can't really repair that is they have to do it from the outside, and that pole that we're talking about moving is right up against the stained glass window. So in order to get to it, they really can't. They have to move that pole across the street. So before that we could move that pole across the street, we have to have a council vote to approve to remove the pole that's already existing there. So this is the purpose of this motion, is to get my colleagues through a roll call vote to approve the removal of the utility pole that is behind St. Patrick's Church. As far as placing it across the street, that's for a public hearing. I'm not concerned about that right now, but we have to do things in proper procedure. And the procedure is to get the pole to be approved by the council to be removed in the first place.
Okay, thank you, Counselor. Any further discussion on the motion? Counselor Mercia has requested a roll call on this motion.
Counselor Belanger.
Yes.
Counselor Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes.
Counselor Leahy.
Yes, for Counselor.
Counselor
Thank
Leary.
you, thank you.
Yes. Counselor Mercia.
Thank you, yes.
Counselor Milonazo.
Yes.
Counselor Rourke.
Yes.
Counselor Samara.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Next is a motion by Councilor Mercia, request that the city manager of the law department explore what steps are necessary to allow children to attend neighborhood schools and to obtain a release from the city consent decree. Do we have a second to the
Second.
motion? Second by Councilor Elliott. Counselor
Well,
Mercia.
I did get a call from a candidate who's running for school committee that said this was none of my business. But I think that when I have a constituent, no matter where they live in this city, it is my business. And I'm not saying that the city manager knows all the answers and he's going to give me direction, but someone has to answer this, because I did talk to the superintendent of schools, Salah Kofawi, about this particular motion, and he said, go for it, because I'd like to know what to do too. So I think we have a consensus here. And the reason that brought me to this motion is that a father called me up and he said, I wonder if I could get my 2 sons to go to the school of their choice, because they've been on the waiting list since 2015, and I live in Pawtucketville, but my job has taken me further away, so that when they take a bus to school and they get a bus back, I used to let them stay for after-school activities, and they were able to do sports programs. But it didn't matter, because I went to the school when I get home from work and I picked them up and brought them home. I can no longer do that because my job has taken me far away, so they're going to have to come back on the bus and miss the sports, where if they went to the neighborhood school where they should be going, they could easily walk home, because my wife does not drive. Having heard that, that's troubling to me, that someone has been on the waiting list to go to the school, their neighborhood school, for all that time. So I thought, isn't this the time to look into this and see if, I know we have a consent decree, is there any way that we, and I will tell you that the father adopted these, in fact, he has 3 sons, but one has graduated from the Robinson School and is going into Lowell High School, so we're not concerned about this son going to the neighborhood school, but they're Southeast Asian children that were adopted quite young. So we're talking about integrated. These kids are more or less minorities, so I don't know why. That's why we desegregated in the first place, to give people choices. People thought this school was better than that one. They were getting a better education because they were not minorities, and now I think everybody is equal. I don't know what to tell you, but I wonder if we could look into it and see, can we, it's a two-folded issue here. Send your kids to neighborhood schools. If you want them to take a bus and go across the city because grandma lives there, fine, let that happen. But I don't know why we can't let our own children walk and go into their neighborhood schools, walk to school, save the environment, save the busing, save the money. This is my issue here. Why can't we, maybe it's time to get back and nobody's just realizing it. So is there a way that we could put our heads together and try to figure out, can we ask the state, can we integrate back to where we were and let kids go to the neighborhood schools? and
Well,
say,
that's, your motion is just asking that the law department, the city manager explore.
That's right.
And provide a report on what steps would be
sure,
necessary to do that.
there must be some steps maybe, and we don't know that unless we look for it. So that's the gist of this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Council Leahy.
Thank you. I just want to say that I agree with this, and when I first looked at it, I too thought maybe we were crossing the line, but you're asking to explore it, and I wholeheartedly agree with you. If you move into any neighborhood in the city and you can't go to your neighborhood school, there's something wrong. So I think this is a great motion, and I hope that we can work together with the school department and take action on this. Thank you.
Any further discussion on the motion? Council Elliott.
Ditto. I did it when I was the mayor. I filed the motion. What is the steps? What's the process that we need to go through to have neighborhood schools? The motion was never answered, so I think it's a good motion. There's a lot of benefits to it: cost, time, and community. And so I look forward to the report to find out what steps we have. I think we all know that you go to any school in the city, and we have a very diverse student population. So I don't think we'd be in violation of any consent decree because the city's just diversified. So I support the motion. Thank you.
Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor, all opposed, so voted. The next motion is by Councilor Mercy. Request the city manager have the traffic engineer install a handicap parking sign for a 60-day trial at 380 West Meadow Road behind the home on La Plume Avenue. Second by Councilor Leary. Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You'll learn a lot when you walk door to door and you talk to different people, and I met a wonderful woman, and she just moved here 3 weeks ago. She has an autistic daughter, and she has a 22-year-old handicapped son. She lives at 380 West Meadow Road. I believe that you can't actually park on that street anyway, although she has a driveway. There's a lot of steps for her to get up there with the son. She would like to park behind her house, which is in a circle, and it becomes La Plume Avenue. That way there, she just goes right in with her son, who has trouble climbing stairs. This would be better for her. The reason I'd like to get a 60-day trial is because across the street, as you know, are two schools, the Pawtucketville Memorial and the Wang, and teachers do park along that street, which I don't blame them, but if they do that, she doesn't have a chance to park there. So we need a handicap parking sign. I'd like a 60-day trial. This woman needs help, and this is what I'm trying to provide her with. I know when you get a handicap parking sign, it should go in front of your house, but if you know West Meadow Road, it's a very busy traveled street. She can't get her son in through that door. The stairs are hard to maneuver. We're trying to make it easier for her. La Plume right behind her house would be perfect, so if we could do that.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion? Councilor
I'm sorry, may I just say one more thing? When you do make a motion like this, you also have to present a copy of the handicap placard, and I have that, so I'm going to give this to the clerk. Thank you, sorry.
That's okay. Councilor Leahy.
Thank you. I just want to say Councilor Mercier is on fire tonight with these motions. So can we just check on one thing too, which works with her motion? Can we just make sure that everybody's parking in the designated parking lots of the schools and not for convenience parking on the city streets so they can get closer to the door? Because I don't know why they're parking on La Plume unless the parking lot's full. But, you know, it's the same thing at the Sullivan School and other schools across the city that, for convenience, we're using the streets versus the parking lots. So we should make sure that the school parking lots are being fully occupied. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, all opposed, so voted. The next motion is by Councilor Mercer. Request the city manager of the property department find the ways and means to allow residents of Merrill Street to close property lines with the city along the Concord River walkway. Seconded by Councilor Leary. Councilor Mercer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a little bit more difficult. This is a little bit more complicated, that over the years, people didn't own the land that the walkway was going to be on, but because of like adverse possession, they were taking care of it and all this. They put grapevines They had fences along there. And be that as it may, the state came along to make that river walkway. That's fine. They lost their arbors. They lost their fences. That's understandable. But now they get a beautiful, beautiful state-of-the-art walkway. Be that as it may, some of the people that live there, and I'm not saying all of them, and I want to work very diligently with Diane Trad because we need to talk to individual owners along there. They wanted to purchase the land that abuts the walkway. I'm told that they can't do that. Well, be that as it may, then someone should be putting up a fence because people along the walkways are now thinking that those people's yards, people can just walk on their property, on their yards, and they wanted to put up a fence, but they don't know if they can. So there's a lot of doubt with some of the families along that river walkway, and I'm not saying there's many, but there's this one family that's concerned. I'd like the planning department to talk to this woman to see where a fence could be put so that they have some privacy. I mean, I love the walkway, it's great, but the people don't appreciate people just, playing ball on their property. This is not their yard to be doing it. So this is the gist of this motion. I need some definition as to what we can do to help people along that corridor so that they can get privacy in their lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion, all opposed, so voted. The next motion is by Council Rourke. Request that the city manager add Fowler Road to the repaving list. Second by Councilor Samaras. Council Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through the manager. Motion already speaks for itself, Mr. Manager. I think this has been on the list for a couple of years now. I know that myself and Councilor Leary had more than one comment given to us. We were on Fowler Road, so sooner the better. That'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion?
Just real quick, not to belabor the point, but there are a few people that contacted me as well, and it is, I've actually was up there. It should be in the list. There's also a couple of trees that have overhanging branches. I'm not going to put them as motions, but if we could have someone take a look at them because it could be a hazard to people in the neighborhood. Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, all opposed, so voted. The next motion is by Councilor Milanaz. Request that the city manager invite representatives from the Massachusetts Department of Transportation to review and comment on the proposed traffic improvements recommended by the traffic engineer to support Lowell High School moving to the Colley site at a public meeting to be held in the City Council chambers. Second by Councilor Leary. We have a registered speaker. Councilor Milanaz, did you want to go first, or?
Yes, the registered speaker.
Okay.
I'm in Hebert, 499 Wilder Street. There's four motions tonight on the agenda about Lowell High School again. I signed up to speak for all of them. I'd like to try to cover this all in one, so I'm not up here 20 minutes. My consensus, I guess, on this is that you need a consensus with the MSBA before they'll even look at this project. I got deja vu when I read all these motions again. These motions have been on the agenda for the last 6 months, if not written in one way, written in another. I don't think we are getting these studies done for free. I don't know, maybe that one of you councilors can ask the city manager that if these are being done for free, I think we're wasting valuable money, valuable city employee time. I think we got some of the finest city employees that I've seen. I've seen them come up here tonight and over the years for these meetings, and they seem to work very diligently at their job. And I think these questions have all been answered in the past. For this council to support any more of these motions until we can send the MSBA a vote of 9 to go forward with this project as a new school at Colley. And to be truthful, and I've told you this in the past, I don't care where the school goes. But you, as the councilors, when you got down to the Final Four, the Colley was the only new school option you brought forward to go down to the MSBA. All right, so we're kind of stuck with that because now it's a 5-4 vote. We don't have the backing from the city to go forward with this. So I think we're throwing good money after bad, wasting valuable time of city employees that can be working on the Hamilton Canal District. We can working on different things in this city that we need, that we could possibly get. This school don't look like we're gonna get it. okay? Because we've got the school committee suing us, suing the city, and that's the taxpayers too. We're the one footing the bills for this. So every time you bring a motion here to do a study on this, a study on that, when you don't even have a consensus with this city council that we can move forward with. A 5-4 vote, hey, you got it down there, but you know what? They're looking at it and saying, and what they say, go back and figure out what you want to do before we're even going to look at yous again. All right? I think we're just wasting a lot of valuable money here. We got to pay it. I think the manager mentioned tonight, $106 million for replace the school roof. If we're going to spend money, let's spend it on that school then, because you know what? It don't look like we're getting a new high school. Not unless we're going to put the whole bill for ourselves. And I don't think the city can do it. And right now, with all the turmoil in the city, I don't think we should, any more of these reports is basically nonsense. You're just throwing good money out to bad. And you know what? It's our money, the taxpayers. The taxpayers are putting this bill for all this infighting, all this downtown, Cawley site. We set out as a city to build a new high school, not to do a demo. I'll tell you a story today. Our safety officer came into the meeting today. He says, here's the new OSHA regulations starting October 1st for silica, which is in every building product. And you know what the foreman did? He says, yeah, we ain't finishing this job because everything has silica. That's a cost. And every day this school isn't being built, or it isn't even on the board to be built, the prices are going through the roof. Look at gas prices. Gas prices are going through the roof. And it ain't about busing. You know what? Traffic studies, you know what? We might as well shut down Boston. We don't go to Boston anymore because every day there's traffic going into Boston. So let's not go there anymore. I mean, we've got to stop spending money on nonsense, basically, because this isn't going to get forward unless we go one way or the other. And right now, the only option they got down there is a new school at Cawley. Okay. And I understand the last time I spoke, some people were offended. Well, let me tell you, if the truth offends you, this is a pretty sad country because everybody's offended by everything in this country. And if the truth offends you, that's really sad. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Councilman Milanazo.
To follow up on a comment that Mr. Hebert made last meeting, you can't fix stupid.
I don't see it in the rules.
You can't fix stupid.
I don't see it in the rules. I read the rules after I talked to
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor, again, this motion is being brought forward to get all of us, all 9 of us, information that I think we need. I think we need information. Again, the traffic engineer, and I could have used the word needed when he talked about improvements, but I said recommendations because that's what, again, we're now looking at. The city managers talk about using creative engineering, and that's all well and good. But at the end of the day, and your motion at the end of the meeting, Mr. Mayor, is more detailed than this motion, I do think we need the Massachusetts Department of Transportation to look at the recommendations made by this traffic engineer to tell us what needs to be done. I'm not saying don't build a school at Cawley. I'm saying we need information. And that's what this motion's about, get more information.
Council Leary, then Council Elliott.
Just quick, I'm supporting the motion. I think we do need information. At the end of the day, whenever you do a project, you want to be able to give folks who live in the neighborhood a comfort level that you did it right. You know, I supported the Cawley site because I believe it is the correct site. I did that through a lot of different analysis, a lot of different looks, at a lot of different schools that are a similar size, like, for example, Lawrence High School. Lawrence High School, if you drive by it from the city of Lawrence past it, you don't even know it's even there. And Manager Murphy, you were laughing at me when I said it to you, and I said, well, you do that for me. Drive by it coming in from the city of Lawrence. You tell me if you can see it. You can't. Now, that's one angle in terms of the traffic component. If we can give people a comfort level that we're doing the due diligence, I'm going to support it because I want the people to have that comfort level. And I don't think having the state take a look at it and look at it differently is a bad thing. I would encourage them to go to different parts like Fall River, where there's 3 high schools in their Highland neighborhood that's very comparable to the Belvedere neighborhood where we're looking to put Cawley. Take a look at that and see how they do it with very little impact to the neighborhood. That's what we need to do. I think it's a good motion. I think doing things correctly and doing it right is important. So I think this motion, we've had other traffic motions, there are a bunch of them. Having someone take a look at it in a public forum is the right way to do it. It shines a little sunshine on everything, so people can't make up information. We got a lot of folks just articulating their, all of a sudden they become traffic engineers saying, we're gonna be taking, multiple feet on this street and multiple feet on that street, and folks are coming here saying, I'm gonna lose my walkway, and nobody knows what they're really talking about. So this will actually put us in a place where we'll have good information, people will understand it, and we'll be able to move forward. Now, we got all this other stuff going on, I get it. If it changes that dynamic, then obviously we're not gonna be doing this. I don't think it's gonna change that dynamic. I think once this is done, we're gonna be going to Cawley. I'm a little more optimistic than Mr. Hebert regarding that. But I am confident if we do it the right way, then folks, at least even if they don't like it, will at least have a process in place, that they have a good comfort level in place, that we're doing everything we can to make it work and do it right. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Elliott?
I do think that we need information, but what I don't understand is why we're asking the traffic engineer. I didn't think they were recommendations. I thought they were the traffic engineer's opinion. So my question to the maker of the motion is, when we're going to invite Department of Transportation in for to have a discussion about this. This is not a comprehensive traffic report. And I just go back to reports, for instance, when Walgreens wanted to go put a location in on Wood Street and Middlesex. They hired a professional transportation engineer to do a thorough investigation on traffic counts, signal times, the effect on the neighborhood. I don't think that Mr. Bostonaro has the time, the resources to do it, first and foremost. And secondly, we've hired a company. We have hired a consultants and we're paying them millions of dollars to design and to address all of these things. Why wouldn't we have them do, and if we didn't, if we weren't satisfied with the first traffic study conducted by Perkins Eastman or their sub, then maybe we need to take a second look at it. But I think Mr. Bostonetto's, while he did the best that he could, it was based upon a lot of presumptions. We still don't know how many buses, how many cars, the route, and I think that's where, and I don't want to be spending any more money. I think that we should have the individuals that we hired to go through this process. We should get a more thorough report from them and present that to the Department of Transportation. I've looked at a lot of these and sat through a lot of discussions when development projects come into the city, and we require thorough traffic studies. And while the information was good, I just don't personally feel that the Department of Transportation is going to look at that report and be able to come up with any definitive conclusions. So, maybe we need a more thorough report from Perkins Eastman or who they hired to do the analysis and then take it that step further. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Council Leahy.
Just quickly, I think Councilor Elliott's right that, we paid Perkins Eastman to do the study, and they should do a complete study. And if we're not happy, which I don't think we are, not to belabor this, but just request that they do a proper traffic study, because the first one was a joke. So we should ask them to do the proper one. If we really want it next week or whatever, we should bring in the motion to have it done.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion? Councilor Elliott.
So I'd like to make that an amended motion, if there's no objection from the maker of the motion, that we have the manager contact Perkins Eastman to come up with a comprehensive traffic report, to look at some of the suggestions from Mr. Bostonetto and come back to this council with, I think it was mentioned earlier, there's a lot of numbers, a lot of presumptions, a lot of suggestions on what may or may not take place as a result of the location of Cawley. And I just think we need to get this a little bit more tight and get more definitive answers and direction from the people that we hired. So if there's no objection, I'd like to have the manager.
I object.
We have objection to, let me just point out that the way the motion reads, it requests that the city manager ask the Massachusetts Department of Transportation to provide to review and comment on the traffic study that was done by the traffic engineer. That's basically the motion. It doesn't really require, they should be, I mean, they're there anyways. They should be able to be willing to do that.
Well, we can put a motion, but I don't want to leave an impression that I don't think that the traffic is important. But I don't think this is the approach. I think we have a rudimentary traffic study that uses some basic assumptions, because you have to, on the number of cars, the number of buses, who knows how many of that is going to be. We're going to have professionals from the state come down to a public hearing, and I don't think there's even remotely close information, yet we hired a company for $2 million, and we're not even going to consider their information. So, yeah, we'll put a motion in for next week, but I don't know why Councilman Manazzo objects to this. He wants more information, but I guess it's just selective information that he's looking for. He doesn't even talk about the report that came from Skanska, Eastman, Perkins, and I don't understand that. So he can object to it, but I'm still going to make the motion, and if you want to vote against it, fine. We'll put a motion in next week, but I just don't think this is, the upfront information that we're looking for. If we really want concise, professional information from a professional company like we require for every development project in the city when there's a traffic problem. So that is my motion.
His amendment.
His amendment to the
to the motion is to ask Perkins and Eastman to provide a traffic study?
I'll repeat the amendment, Mr. Mayor. An amendment to this motion, because Mr. Bussino has some information, but I think that we need to incorporate, the motion is to have the manager contact Perkins Eastman to include information on their traffic study.
And with that, I second it.
Okay. On the amendment, Councilman Milazzo.
Again, I'm not going to support the amendment. Again, I'm looking just for information. I'm hearing things that, Roger Street is supposed to be widened from a certain distance to Nesmith Street. I'm being told that because of the recommendations by our traffic engineer, that Mass DOT may put that on hold. I'd like them to look at the information that we've been given by our traffic engineer, and we do have some traffic counts, if you will, from our engineers. But at the end of the day, I still think Mass DOT is going to play a big role here, and I think the sooner we get them in here, the more information we'll be able to have, and it'll be more transparent. And again, let me just see if I can.
I thought we banned cell phone use.
All right, I won't pull it up. But I mean, again, some councils have gone on record saying that if this high school is going to impact Douglas Road and Clark Road, I'm not going to support it going to Cawley. But again, it isn't impacting Douglas Road, but I want someone from the outside, from the State Department of Transportation, to say whether or not it is or isn't, because again, I think we need information. So again, your motion at the end of the agenda is clearly drills down further than my motion. I'm just saying have them look at the recommendations made by Nick Bostonetto. That's all I'm asking for. Now, I'm not suggesting that Councilor Elliott doesn't want the information. I just think from the standpoint of delaying, the information that we got from Perkins Eastman was, in my opinion, did not give us enough information. Nick Bostonetto, in my opinion, gave us a lot of information that needs to be reviewed by the experts. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you. Councilor Leary.
No, look, we can have both. I don't see that as a problem. I see supporting the amendment and your motion is a good thing. I think what we need is the information. I think the amendment is not going to hurt getting information. It's bringing information to the process. I think at the end of the day, if this does go to Cawley, we want to make sure that it's done right. And it's done so people can see that it's done in front of everybody. So I don't see where the amendment is in conflict with what you're trying to ask for. So I think we should all be supporting that. More information's better. We want to do this right. This is going to impact the whole city. I think it's going to be a positive impact at the end of the day, but let's prove it. So I'm going to support the amendment. I think it's an intelligent move. I think your motion was reasonable. I don't see why we're arguing just to argue at this point.
Well, I think if I could just take a minute, I think what is important is a clarification on what the amendment means. So if the amendment is that we would seek the information from the Massachusetts Department of Transportation and from Perkins Eastman, that's one thing. If the amendment is to get the information from Perkins Eastman rather than the Massachusetts Department of Transportation, that's something completely
See,
different.
that my understanding, you're saying and. I don't have a problem. Look, at the end of the day, we've had enough battle on this floor regarding that high school. Let's just get all the information out. I didn't like the traffic report that we received from Perkins Eastman, Sanska. I just thought it was, it just wasn't, I've seen a lot of reports, and it was one of the worst presentations I've ever been a part of. I want to give everybody a comfort level. I supported Cawley because I believe it to be the correct site. That's my personal opinion. If someone needs to have additional information, I'm all for it. The amendment, in the way I understand it, is just asking Perkins Eastman to provide a more detailed, more informative report. If you want the DOT to look at it, by all means, I'll support that. But the fact that we keep arguing about this again and again and again is an essentially waste of everybody's time. Right now, we have a 5-4 vote, it's going to Cawley. Let's just make that work. Now, if there's some court litigation that changes it, then we'll look at downtown. But let's just support each other, getting the information to make this work.
I think at this point, we're just having a discussion, and that it's not an argument. But, Councilor Elliott, let me just ask you to clarify the amendment. Are you looking to get the information from Perkins Eastman rather than the Massachusetts Department of Transportation, or would you like to get information from both of them concurrently?
I thought the intent of the motion, Mr. Mayor, is to take the information that came from Mr. Bostonetto and have the Department of Transportation, which would be the process, evaluated. I don't believe that is thorough, concrete, analytical data that would provide any conclusion. They were just assumptions from Mr. Bostonetto. I mean, look at traffic reports. I mean, traffic analysis for any projects in the city. My point is, why are we not asking the people we hired to do this, to work with the Department of Transportation instead of a report from, I mean, he did the best that he could, but it wasn't a thorough report. I mean, I'm sorry.
Okay.
It was based upon a lot of assumptions. So if we're going to do this, at the time that Skanska did their report, and I don't want to get into, we're getting into the weeds in this. I think that we need better information. I think that our consultants should be the people that we are asking to do this. And when we get that thorough, now that it isn't the design phase, we know where the entrance is going to be. They know some of the parameters that we don't want traffic going down Douglas. We don't want that left-hand turn. They will come up with the scenario, and then we ask Department of Transportation. I'm not trying to delay this. That's nonsense.
Okay.
But let's not have DOT come in without a report, a thorough analysis of the entire project, because they're just going to ask more questions.
Okay. Let me suggest that what might put a smile on everybody's face is if we took the information from the traffic engineer and the information that was given to us by Perkins Eastman and send it all to the Massachusetts Department of Transportation and let them sort it out. Does that work for everybody?
That's what the amendment was, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. So if that is the gist of the amendment, seconded by Councilor Mercier, is that? Yeah, okay.
That was not my understanding, so I
Yeah,
apologize.
okay. All in favor of the amendment?
Guys, quick
Councilor
question.
Rock.
So how does this motion differ than yours? Right, 814.
You'll learn that in a few
So, all right, and so the only other question I had with concern to Mr. Bostonello's proposed traffic report, I do remember him saying it was a 10 to 12-day report that he put together rather quickly. And Mr. Manager, is he still working on it, on proposals? I heard you say publicly that there are other ways that he was looking at traffic that could be, ways that could be mitigated over at the site. So the only concern I have is that are you just going with the first plan that he gave us 3 months ago, or is he still working on a proposal that, may make everybody, in the room, happy, citizens and businesses involved? So it's just, what he first gave us by his own admission was a less than 2-week study, right? So I'm just curious of what we're going to submit to anybody.
Yes, Mr. Bostonetto and the engineers were working with the school building committee, but that's been put on hold right now until the ruling of the court. So as soon as we get that, then we'll start again with the traffic information and get the reports out to the Department of Transportation.
So are these motions a little too early then, if we have no idea where it's going?
No, I think they're okay.
Okay, so again, so just the chain of events going forward then. So we get a ruling on where, what body decides, and then Mr. Bostano works on his proposal, and then we take that proposal and it goes to the DOT along with.
If that's what the, yeah.
All right, so I'm sure the council will get that proposal before you send it off to anybody?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
You also, Councilor Samaras and Councilor Samaras.
Thank you. No, I just agree with Councilor Leary. We need the information. The information that came from Skankser, Perkins Eastman, that was probably one of the worst reports anybody's ever seen. And it left a bad taste in everybody's mouth. So the issue is, I think what you've come up with is a good compromise, and it'll get us more, I think it'll help clear up some issues. It may raise questions, but it'll raise the right questions. We need it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Mercy.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor, to the city manager. And I know this is off the beaten track, but do you have any idea when we may hear from the courts in this issue?
I asked the solicitor to send a email to all the councils, and I read it. And basically, her email says that both sides argued their cases before the court today, submitted briefs, and the judge took it under advisement, and they're looking, for a decision hopefully within a week.
Within a week. Thank you.
Any further discussion on the amendment? All in favor of the amendment, all opposed? On the motion as amended, all in favor, all opposed? The next motion is by Councilor Milonazo. Request that the city manager provide a comprehensive list of all regulatory and zoning approvals needed to construct the high school at the Colley site, including those approvals needed from both Tewksbury and Chelmsford. Seconded by Councilor Rourke. Councilor Milonazo.
Again, just looking for information, Mr. Mayor. If we can put a list together and dates, timelines, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion, all opposed, so voted. The next motion is by Councilor Leary and Councilor Milonazo. Request that the City Council take the proper measure to relocate the Belial Memorial Square from Moody and Pawtucket Streets to Moody and James Streets.
Both
The
of us
motion
received-
needs no second. Councilor Leary.
Councilor Milonazo and I both received calls on this from Norman Gilbu from up on Beacon Street. Ultimately, we paved over the site where we made this dedication to the individual that Mr. Belial, who was killed in World War I. And it's only fitting that we worked with the Veterans Department to find a suitable site. And this is a perfect location for it, right it's close to the area that it is. It's a side note that during World War I, there were a lot of different square dedications, and some of the most famous are the Kearney and the Couples Square, where we just made a rededication last year to Couples. But it's something that, as you look, as years go by, a lot of these dedications, a lot of these squares are now no longer having the memorials to them. And these are young gentlemen who, paid the ultimate price fighting for our country. They gave their lives for it. So these dedications were serious back in 17, 19, 18 when they made them. It's something that we probably should be looking in across the city where else we're missing them. And this is an individual, Mr. Gilbo, who actually took the initiative to let us know that he remembered this square being in place, and over time we made it a parking lot. So this is a fitting tribute to someone who served our country. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Councilor Milonazo? Okay. All in favor of the motion, all opposed, so voted. Next by Councilor Samaras. Request that the city manager provide a report detailing the effects of the tax increment financing agreements on economic development in Lowell. Seconded by Councilor Rourke. Councilor Samaras.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. Mr. Manager, I think sometimes when we speak about TIFs, for some people, it's just, the way they see it, it's just giving companies a tax break. But the thing is, I think we need a report on how it actually affects economic development in this city, because we've made great strides. And I know the work that you've done, creating the TIFs and working with the various companies. But I think I'd like to see basically a list of those companies that we give TIFs to and what they bring to the city of Lowell. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion, all opposed, so voted. The next motion is by Councilor Samaras. Request that the city manager provide an update regarding the Wellman Street project. Seconded by Councilor Rourke. Councilor Samaras.
Now, the motion speaks for itself. Wellman project seems to be on hold, and I just think we need a status report as to the direction it's going in. Thank you.
Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor or all opposed? So voted. The next motion is by Council Leahy. Request that the city manager follow up with the superintendent of schools regarding which buildings may or may not be turned back over to the city after the new high school is completed. Second by Council Leary. You were registered to speak on that, Steve, but you're all set? You covered everything? Yep, okay. Council Leahy.
Yep, thank you. The motion speaks for itself. I don't think we got an answer to this. I just wanted to know if the superintendent can give us some idea what his thoughts might be for the future. I know that you're working on projects out in Pawtuckaville, but being involved with the school committee for so many years, I just would like to have an idea of where we're going with this and what the future plans might be. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor, all opposed, so voted. The next motion is by Council Leahy. Request that the city manager update the city council regarding street sweeping for the fall. Second by Council Leary. Council Leahy.
Yeah, motion speaks for itself, and could you also just include, are we still working on, like maybe plans for street sweeping for every other, we were talking about every other side, every other Tuesday, every other whatever. So wherever we are with that, that'd be great. Thank you.
Councilor Elliott.
So, to Council Leahy's motion, they haven't stopped sweeping. I mean, only because they went by my house just the other day, and it seems like they don't stop during the summer. Do they stop in the fall?
I don't really know. I'll get the answer. I'll get to what the scheduling of street sweeping is.
How many do we have, and how many street sweepers do we have?
I'll have all that in the report.
Okay.
I'll get a complete report by the next meeting on street sweeping in the city.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, they probably just slow down during the summer, but it's funny that you say that because they just went by my house yesterday, so.
Well, they saw the motion.
There's a reason for that.
Any further discussion? All in favor, all opposed, so voted. The next motion is by Council Belanger. Request that city manager work with the Lowell Police Department to enhance safety patrols along the street corridor from Kearney Square to Kerouac Park. Seconded by Council Elliott. Council Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This area here has sort of been ramped up with, I received a call from a resident where homeless and drug activity seems to have ramped up in recent weeks. And I think that's due to some policing where South Common has made improvements, and as well as an additional policing, as well as the TD Bank site. So basically, it seems like the population is moving about, and that's due to the proactiveness of the Lowell Police. But this is an area that the resident and I walked just yesterday evening, and there's certainly some remnants of some illicit activity going on there. It's sort of forgotten about. There's really, it's always high-dense traffic. There's really no parking, on-street parking in the area, and it tends to be forgotten about. It's awful dark back there, and it extends all the way to Kerouac Park, where, that's an area we're trying to revitalize. The manager and I were just at the Food Truck Festival on Friday night, and it's a beautiful park, but we don't want it to be overrun by wrongdoers. So that seems to be what's happening, but it's, again, by a result of policing in other areas in the city that's brought them to this area. So I just wanted to bring it to the attention of the manager and the superintendent to beef up some patrols there and maybe work on some lighting enhancements with property owners and city officials to get some improvement there. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor, all opposed, so voted. Councilor Rook.
Next motion of the evening by Mayor Kennedy, request city manager instruct the city traffic engineer to prepare a report on whether the increase in traffic generated by a new high school at the college site would trigger a broad-based traffic impact assessment by Massachusetts Department of Transportation pursuant to the Massachusetts Environmental Policy Act. The report should include a reasonable estimate of the scope, cost, and time that it would take to complete such a traffic impact assessment, as well as where such an assessment belongs and the schedule of events pertaining to the construction of a new high school at the College site. Second by Councilor Samaras. Mayor Kennedy?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, one of the things that Mr. Hebert was correct about today is that the city council has been asking for information for 6 months, all kinds of information. But what's come to my attention, and the reason that I filed this motion is that it might be that because of the extra amount of traffic that will be generated by the Colley High School, you know, several thousand traffic trips a day, that would trigger a MIFR study. And that's not something that we have a choice on. That's something that would be required by the Commonwealth and that we would have to do. It's also my understanding that that's something that would take, a study, if it's a broad-based study, would take 8 to 12 months to complete. Now, I don't know that this is true, but I think that it's certainly something that we should find out about. If we find out that we don't need to do a study like that, then that's okay. But if we need to do a study like that, then I would be quite upset that neither Skanska nor Perkins Eastman told us that a study like that was going to be required. I would be very upset. But my understanding is that you would need to do this study. And I just think we should find out about it as we're moving forward. This is the time to do it. This stuff isn't going to go away. It's not like MEF is going to say, oh, you guys, you can just skip it. It's something, if it's required, then we're going to have to do it. So you have to face up to it. And so that's what I'm asking for. And I think that the traffic engineer could probably deliver an oral report on this right now. But what I'm asking for is a written report, hopefully at the next meeting from him, that would inform the city council as to whether or not we were going to need a study like that, what the duration would be, and what the scope and so forth would, what scope and cost would be involved.
Anything else? If I could, from up here, Mr. Manager, I know that there are certain requirements that need to be put in place before a study like this is warranted. Do you know what those requirements are?
Not off the top of my head, but I'll certainly ask the appropriate people and get that answer for the next meeting.
Great, thank you very much. All those in favor, all those opposed, motion passes. Last motion of the evening by Mayor Kennedy, request city manager instruct the traffic engineer to provide recommendations aimed at increasing safety of the crosswalk on Pawtucket Street between Arlington Street and Fanning Street. Second by Councilor Samaras. Mayor Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a request that came into the mayor's office by a person who's a resident of the Lord Manor on Pawtucket Street. They use that crosswalk all of the time, and a lot of times they're taking their life in their own hands, to the extent where a couple of people have been injured in the past several months because of speeding traffic. And I think that traffic has only increased since the students came back to class at the University of Lowell. So what the motion asks is that we try to come up with something that's going to protect those people when they're crossing the street a little better than what we're doing now.
Great. Any comments? All those in favor, opposed, motion passes. That concludes the motion part of the agenda. Announcements?
I have announcements. Go ahead. I've got some too.
I have three, but, okay, I'm sorry.
Councilor Mercer.
Our good friends and partners at Lowell House, they're hosting their annual recovery breakfast on September 19th from 7:30 to 9 a.m. in the morning at the UMass Lowell Inn and Conference Center, 50 Warren Street. But I would be proud to make and declare a motion, if I could, because the clerk told me that I should make it during the announcement, to declare Tuesday, September 19th, well, not me, I'd like to have the mayor declare Tuesday, September 19th as Fight Addiction and Stigma Day in the city of Lowell. Do you think we could do that? That's in the form of a motion. And if you, Mr. Mayor, or your designee can present this citation to the Lowell House's Bill Gar on that particular morning breakfast.
Council, we can do that without a motion. I'd be happy to do that.
Well,
just at your request. So that's fine.
Okay, so that's fine.
Yes.
All right, so that's that issue right there. The next thing is Unwanted Medication Disposal Day is Wednesday, September 20th, from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Lowell Health Department. Residential disposal only, no commercial disposal, that you could go to 341 Pine Street and dispose of all your shops, your inhalers, your liquid medicine, pills, vitamins, whatever. And I would just like to say that even though it is Unwanted Medication Day, if someone is unable to get out of the house, you could call the police department and they can send a cruiser over to that home where someone is homebound, and they can get your prescriptions for you and dispose of them themselves. So that's very important, but it is Unwanted Medication Disposal Day on Wednesday, September 20th. And the very last thing I have is Easter Seals. Hosting an event at Cavaliero's with Manny Cavallero, Lisa Saab, and the Saab Family Foundation. This is Easter Seals at Thursday, September 21st. Easter Seals provide services to ensure that children and adults with disability have equal opportunities to live, learn, work, and play. So if anybody's interested in that, Cavaliero's 6 to 10 on Thursday, September 21st. And tickets are $60, but it goes to a very good cause. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Larry?
Just quick, we have a subcommittee meeting. The ad hoc subcommittee meeting will be meeting next Wednesday, September 20th, at the Senior Center to take up public participation regarding our Plan E form of government. So very exciting. Please be there. Thank you.
Mayor Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have 3 announcements, and the first is that the Lowell Arts and Maker Festival will be held this weekend on Saturday and Sunday from 12 to 6 on Market Street in downtown Lowell. And the second one is that the Lowell Kinetic Sculpture Race, all throughout the city of Lowell, but beginning down on Market Street, will be held next Saturday, September 23rd. And then finally, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is sponsoring one of the largest service projects in the history of Lowell on Saturday, September 23rd, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. 300 to 400 people are expected to participate, providing over 1,000 man-hours for the city. The Lowell Day of Service will bring together individuals, families, Boy Scout, Girl Scout troops, interfaith groups, and refugee organizations to scrape and repaint the mile of fencing surrounding the Edson Cemetery and index and record the gravestones in the Old English Cemetery. Everyone in the community is invited to join in the fun. The kickoff is, it reads that way. The kickoff at the Butler Middle School at 1140 Gorham Street on Saturday, September 23rd at 9 a.m. Those who wish to participate are encouraged to register at lowelldayofservice.org. The same-day registration is available on site. Come join your friends and neighbors in this historic event. That's the third one. So that's a big one, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
With that, I would make a motion to adjourn.
I think we do have one more left. I think one more. Councilor Elliott?
I just want to let the folks know that are watching, we've scheduled a finance subcommittee. Councilor Larry and myself have been getting calls on the parking structure. And Mr. Clerk, please just confirm that it's October 2nd. Is that the finance subcommittee meeting? I just want to let people know.
Yeah.
That was the next, for parking rates.
October 3rd is Tuesday.
Whatever the Tuesday is.
Yeah, October 3rd.
Okay, first and foremost. And secondly, on October 24th, the public is welcome, as well as they invited the entire administration and city council to the Cambodian monument unveiling at City Hall. It's 10 to 5, but the unveiling is scheduled for 12 o'clock noon.
Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you.
Good job getting the clerk a little airtime tonight. Wish to adjourn? Oh, I'm sorry, Councilor Benazzi, you have something to say?
I just wanted to say that we're going to move our zoning subcommittee from September 26th to October 17th due to the preliminary election, primarily.
Motion to adjourn by Councilor Kennedy, second by Councilor Benazzi. Good night.